2 seconds, I need to make things bigger.
That's what she said.
That's not what I wanted. Fuck.
That's what she said as well.
Oh, pardon me.
Pardon you.
Pepsi Max.
I'm actually drinking, believe it or not, Diet Pepsi. Can you believe that? I feel like I'm cheating on Pepsi Max.
Sorry, but Pepsi Max had finished, so I was getting a delivery of an iced coffee.
An iced coffee? Weird though.
2 seconds, I need to open the fucking straw. Fucking paper straws in these things now. That's good.
An iced coffee, what you like, man? Really was, I'll say that again, my tongue's getting tied.
Dave, you're an arsehole if the fat... Dave, you're an arsehole. Just end with that.
That's actually quite a nice thing you said about me there.
Probably the nicest thing I've said. Yeah, that's probably going to be nearer 3 hours.
Oh my god. That boy that's the postie will be happy though.
Aye, definitely. You're quite scratchy there.
Alright, sorry. Shaved my beard off today, so I don't know how.
Just hate to think where you put your microphone.
Only you would think about something like that, eh?
I was thinking about your arms, Dave, your arm hairs, you know.
How do you know I've got hairy arms?
And the stadium erupts in red, white and blue. You've never seen anything like it.
Let's go. Manchester, brace yourself. Rangers are coming!
Hi everyone, and welcome to the next episode of the iReady podcast. As ever, I'm your host Derek, and with me is my co-host Dave. How you doing, Dave?
Derek, I've only got one thing to sing. Sweet Caroline, do, do, do. Now, Derek, to the untrained ear, that was me singing do, do, do. And to the trained ear, that was me singing do, do, do. That's all I've got to say about that.
I'm just hoping there's no deranged people out there that want to maybe go, take a sound clip of this and maybe put it on TikTok and alter our voices at all, Dave.
Well, as long as it's not by somebody called Willy Wanker who posts it, then I think we'll be all right. But I mean, it's very plausible, Derek.
Absolutely, anything is possible in this digital age. But Dave, we have got an absolute ton of stuff to go on.
No, that's hardly anything. I mean, that's like back to the good old days, like 4 years ago, mate. We used to do that, no bother.
I was counting up the other day. Some of the actual pods we used to do were like maybe 10 matches we had to cover. So we are nearly back there, but nah. But yes, what a podcast we've got. We've got everything in the kitchen sink. We've got wins, we've got draws, we've got losses, we've got cup games, we've got us lifting the title, we've got, I'm not even wanting to say it, we've got some madness on from the weekend.
Utter madness, yes.
But we'll see what happens in the next couple of hours, because I think it's going to be a long podcast. So I hope everybody puts their podcast on 2 times speed like I do with every podcast now, because it's going to take a while to get through all this.
Does that mean that my voice will sound even more irritating than it already is, Derek? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
No comment.
Okay, mate, let's go for it.
We'll go down the tunnel and onto the pitch. The first of the 6 games we've got to cover. It's a great one. Sunday the 18th of April. It was a 2-0 win at home against Celtic in the Scottish Cup round 4. What a way to start it off, Davey.
Great way to start it off, Derek. It seems so long ago. There's been so much happened since then, but I can't wait for you to give me your version of events. Fire away, mate.
Yes. Well, we're going to abbreviate a lot of the games because there's just too much to go through. We will be here for about 4 hours if I was to do my main thing, but there's a lot in each game to still go through, even though obviously the main thing before the game was that there was vandalism to the Champions 55 advertising board outside the stadium the night before. Rangers had it placed by 10 a.m. on the Sunday. Absolutely fantastic from Rangers. Again, Dave, it was like that at your bit in terms of all the banners and everything like that. It was just a sight to see all around Glasgow, wasn't it? Some of the images that were coming through.
It wasn't just in Glasgow, it was everywhere, all over sort of West Lothian, East Lothian, right the way across Scotland. I know here, certainly in the Central Belt, there was lots of flags getting put out and banners everywhere. It was just a sight to see. It was fantastic.
Yeah, and what was even funnier is that Rangers fans had put loads of flags up outside Parkhead on the lampposts, and one Celtic fan on Twitter tried to mobilise the crew to bring ladders, and there was a picture of his garden with ladders. Right, I'm away to get all these down, and then there was an update from about an hour later. The bus wouldn't let me on with my ladders.
Yeah, it was the worst remake of Avengers Assemble I've ever seen, Derek.
Yes. Also, as well, though, prior to the game, John Kennedy had stated that Celtic are still the best team in the league. Yeah. It prompted Rangers after the game to state on Twitter afterwards, a win against the best team in the league. Absolutely brilliant from Rangers there. The media team this season, and obviously there's loads more examples in the games to follow, but they've been absolutely immense this year with just their quick wit and their humour as well.
Yeah, certainly, they really have done.
But there was one change from the team that faced Hibs with Arfield replacing Roofe. So we had McGregor, Patterson, Goldson, Helander, Barisic, Arfield, Kamara, Davis, Aribo, Morelos and Kent. On the subs bench were McLaughlin, Tavernier, Bassey, Simpson, Hadji, Itten, Zungu, Wright and Roofe. Now, the first half itself, it kind of swung both ways. I felt the difference was we took our chances when we were on top. Celtic maybe had about a 10-minute period in the first half where they were pushing us back. They were probably the dominant team. But I think it was actually more the case of us sitting off them just after we scored. Then we reasserted ourselves and we got our second goal. And the best of it is, I don't think we really got out of a second gear in the first half.
Definitely not, Derek.
So in the 10th minute, we went 1-0 up with Davis scoring. Kent was taken out in the middle of the park. The advantage was played, well refereed there. Kamara picks up the ball, passes to Aribo, who drives it forward, gets to the right side of the box, shuffles inside and hits a shot, deflected off the boot of the defender, but right into the path of Davis, who overhead kicks it into the back of the net from 6 yards. Davis with an overhead kick. Where have you ever heard that, Dave?
It's sensational, Derek. The reactions for the man, absolutely brilliant. As you said just before that, it was Aribo that was the driving force. I feel that Aribo in the past few games against Celtic has been one of the main driving forces for the team. He certainly looked in the mood. And as you say, the finish by Davis, absolute quality. Again, I said it before, the reactions, but just the mobility of the guy as well. He's like 35. I know that's no old for an old codger like myself, but football in terms, it shows you that he's still got everything in the locker. Tremendous goal and a fantastic start for us, and really didn't look back after that, Derek.
I mean, as I said, we did sit back for the next kind of 10-15 minutes. On the 20th minute, Edouard gets the ball at the edge of the box, dinks one way, dinks the other, and hits a shot right at McGregor, who palms it away. Celtic had another shot, but it was high and wide after that. Probably Celtic's best chance of the half on the 23rd minute. Helander cleared it off the line. It was crossed in by Celtic. The attacker gets his foot to it, puts it towards the right rather than on target. The ball was played in back towards goal and then off Helander's chest and then cleared. So just good positional awareness there from Helander, who's been immense this season. We then reasserted ourselves. Great skill on the 30th minute by Patterson. Fast pace taking on the players. He got past two defenders in the box, hits a shot and into the side netting, but absolutely fantastic from Patterson there. That is the one thing. He's been great defensively, caught out a couple of times, but that's to be expected. Not every player will get caught out, but his directness has been fantastic when he's came on, especially when he's going towards goal. No fear whatsoever.
No, I think he's a fantastic player, Derek. I think we've got an absolute diamond there of a player, and as you say, just for his age, absolutely fearless, exactly what you said when going forward. If he's playing in a system, Derek, where he's an attacking fullback, apart from, Tav, I can't think of a better attacking fullback in the Scottish game than him. at the moment, and it's maybe, I don't think I'm being premature when I say that. I think he's an absolute class act, and I was just glad that we managed to get him to play in that game because he was excellent, absolutely excellent.
And then 4 minutes later, we went 2-0 up with an OG. We were fantastic down the right with Morelos to Arfield, then to Aribo. Aribo takes it down the right, shimmies and outfoxes the defender, gets the ball into the box, puts a fast-paced cross into the area, and it was met by Callum McGregor, who was sliding in and puts the ball into the back of the net. Kent was there with the follow-up if McGregor never got to it, but just great from Aribo, great goal all round. And as I always said, don't care how they come. If the OG off somebody's arse,
exactly.
I don't care.
Yep, and a great time for us to score as well, Derek. Absolutely fantastic, and really, we might have had a wee bit of a flurry, but we were severely confident at that point.
Yep. So half time, and obviously delighted with that. Obviously Celtic had a 10-minute period, but we were largely on top, and we're 2-0 up. You can't ask for much more.
Nope, definitely not.
Yep. However, in the second half, Celtic did come out the traps right at the start in the 45th minute. Great save by McGregor after Celtic get the ball forward into space. They had a shot at the edge of the box and a diving save put out for the corner. 56th minute, a big chance for Celtic where a long ball was played up to Elyounoussi, who gets the ball, takes it into the box. Helander then Goldson trying to fend him off. Elyounoussi gets a shot from the right side of the box, blocked by McGregor, but went into the path of Edouard, who tried a backheel flick and it went over the bar. 59th minute, Patterson gave the ball away on the right side. Drive and run from Celtic, gets the ball across. Their attacker gets the ball. All he had to do was shoot, but he had taken a touch too much and allowed McGregor to come out and dive at his feet and get the ball away. So they started to, obviously they came out the traps they had to ultimately. I think they made a couple of changes, but we largely weathered everything.
Yep, definitely did it, yep.
78th minute, a penalty to Celtic though. Aribo was adjudged to have pushed Griffiths. I felt he was looking for it, and arguably I think he was already fallen, but the referee gave it nonetheless. But just as Celtic should always know, just because you get a penalty doesn't mean you're going to score, because the penalty was saved. It was a really, really sloppy penalty from Edouard. You can maybe do that against lesser keepers, but you're never going to beat a quality keeper like McGregor. He dives to his left, saves the penalty. Easy as you like.
Yep, it looked so straightforward, didn't it?
And really, that's how the game finished out. We had a couple of shots, a couple of chances, but that's really about it. And, got to be delighted with running out 2-0 winners. The league was already done. The cup was the big thing that we needed to try and get now, and the players more than matched their task.
Yep, totally, Derek. As you say, that there was a period in the game that Celtic had the upper hand with the possession they had. They had a few chances, but I just felt throughout the game, especially after we scored the second goal, I just felt you could see the confidence in the players that it didn't matter what they were going to throw at us, we were going to deal with it, and that's ultimately exactly how the game panned out, wasn't it?
Absolutely. So confidence high, beating Celtic again, and
again, yep.
Again, yes, this season.
Again.
And obviously we knew we had to play them again in a few weeks' time, so confidence is definitely high. So it led us into the next game, which was Wednesday the 21st of April, away to St Johnstone in the Premiership, where we drew 1 each, unfortunately. Mitigating circumstances, though, because they made 7 changes from the cup win against Celtic. We lined up McLaughlin, Tavernier, Goldson, Simpson, Barisic, Kamara, Davis, Hadji, Roof, Wright and Itten. On the subs bench, we had McGregor, Helander, Kent, Aribo, Morelos, Arfield, Patterson, Defoe and Bassey. As much as we still had the goals conceded record to still go and to go undefeated in the Premiership this season, as I said, it was ultimately the cup that was the main prize from here until the end of the season. So there is completely understandable why the manager wanted to make as many changes, rest a few key players. Bearing in mind that was still a very impressive side, but St Johnstone have been playing well, top 6. They've already won the League Cup. You had to be wary of them, but it never turned out that way, did it?
No.
So overall, in the first half, it was poor. I felt the St Johnstone were certainly up for it. They were chasing every ball, knocking it about well. Combine that with, as I said, so many other changes, it seemed there was a lack of cohesiveness and communication within the team. And I think we've found that before when we've made so many changes to the team. Granted, it was last season, but when you make so many changes, that's what sometimes can happen when different players are not playing with each other. We can maybe get away with 2 or 3 changes in a game, maybe not 7 out of the 11.
Yeah, definitely.
We started to come back around about the 15th minute, though. We retained the ball more. We were knocking it about, but we couldn't break down the defence. St Johnstone finished the half strong, but without doing anything with it. We had no shots on target in the first half at all, and that kind of says it all. As much as we had a lot of possession, we just never done anything with it. St Johnstone were, to their credit, they done the job that they set out to do. They done it very well, and they were organised, and that's the one thing you can say about them.
Yeah.
On the 3rd minute, St Johnstone had the ball in the back of the net after a quick move, but the attacker had strayed offside, so correct decision there. 23rd minute, a lovely turn and a long ball into the box from Roof for the on-running right, who controls it. Maybe shown too much to the keeper, who had come out to collect the ball. It was a great idea and great play, but maybe just lacking that match sharpness there. But really, the first half, not a lot of chances for either team, and I was quite glad because I knew we had a big run of games to cover in this.
Yeah.
Anyway, so into the second half, though, we started off fairly brightly, and we got the goal on the 55th minute with Wright scoring. The ball was played out of our half from the right into the middle of the park, missed by the St Johnstone midfielder. It comes to Davis, who drove the ball forward. A lovely pass to pick out right at the edge of the box. Controls, shimmies, and hits a curler into the bottom right corner. And it was his first goal for us. An absolute stunning goal.
It was, Derek, and he was maybe one of the sort of shining lights of the game because, as you say, there wasn't much happening. There wasn't much happening for us, but he always did look lively when he came on, and it was just an excellent. It was a well-worked goal. Great play again by Steve Davis, as you say, to pick the ball up in midfield, drive forward, great pass through, and an excellent goal by Wright. A fantastic goal, especially as you say, it being his first goal, so one that he'll remember for a long time. And I think if we were looking back at that point, we would say if there was anybody that deserved it out the team so far, it would have been Wright, to get that goal. So absolutely delighted for him, and again I think it shows you the team as well, Derek, because I don't think there's hardly any players at all, if any, that haven't contributed to the season, throughout the whole squad. So it's fantastic for him, and as you say, without playing really, really well and really dominating, it was just great to get that opening goal, and we were just hoping at that point that would get us, spurred on to maybe start playing a wee bit better and go and try and get another one.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the thing at that point as well. Given the lack of chances for both teams, the fact that we went 1-0 up, you thought, this game surely got to be it for us. However, nearly 2 minutes later, we contrived to undo it because a penalty was given to St Johnstone. It was deemed it was a handball from Wright, apparently. Seemed to come off the inside of his left arm at the shoulder. It would have been harsh if it was given. However, there was absolute confusion because the referee gave it. The referee then didn't seem to know what to do. The players were remonstrating. He pointed again to the spot. The player was about to take it. The linesman called him over and overruled him, so no penalty was given. Just absolutely baffling scenes from what happened there from the officials.
Yeah, totally. As you say, Derek, it was like amateur hour, wasn't it? The penalty, it's definitely a penalty. Then it's no, then it is, then it's no, and then eventually it's not given. As you say, it was a soft one, but the referee just looked really, really poor. Didn't look like he knew anything about the rules, and what to do. And then in the end, for it, the way that it goes, pleased for us, obviously, that eventually it was going to be a penalty. But as you say, it was like amateur hour at that point.
62nd minute, Tav off, Patterson on. 68th minute, Wright and Davis off, Arfield and Kamara on. Roof had a chance, went just round the post after that, and it was deemed to have fouled the defender anyway. A couple of more changes in the 78th minute, Hadji and Barisic off, Defoe and Bassi on. So a full complement of subs made at that point. 85th minute, the ball hits off the arm of Simpson in the box. His arm was down by his side, clearly not in an unnatural position, so correct decision not to give anything. But then, on the 94th minute, a penalty to St Johnstone for absolutely nothing, it seemed. And the boys seemed to just fall over the defender's leg as well. Just baffling decision. The one thing I'm wanting to say about this, though, is 93rd and a half minute, I think it was, Roof had the ball, and from the halfway line he tried to lob the keeper again, and it was a fairly decent effort. It wasn't as clear-cut as the one against Standard Liège, but he had the effort anyway, and that's what ultimately lost possession and then allowed St Johnstone to go up the park. Now, a lot of people were criticising Roof for that, and I'm not going to be one of them, because if the opportunity was there, then fair enough, try it, because nothing to that point said that St Johnstone were going to score. Now, bearing in mind in the Standard Liège game, we were still 1-0 up into the last, dying seconds of the game when he'd done the exact same thing. And the conditions were horrendous, so the ball could have went anywhere going back up the park. had we lost possession. So the folk that were criticising for it were the same folk praising them for doing it against Standard Liège. So you can't have your cake and eat it in that respect, can you, Dave?
Well, I take it that was being aimed at me, Derek, yes?
Well, not really. I just mean in general.
Derek, I was one of them. I was screaming because I thought to myself, get the ball and run into the corner with it, because, it wasn't a cup game. It wasn't, the points were there to be won. And I do understand what you're saying, but I just thought, lightning isn't going to strike twice. Do you know what I mean? That was like a spontaneous type of thing that happened, and I was a bit critical of him, as I have been, and I'll speak about Kamal Roof later on, because to the end of the season he was outstanding. I just felt at the time he could maybe have used his head a wee bit better and tried to take it a wee run, eat some time up in the clock. Not eventually that it mattered anyway, Derek, but it was the difference between getting a victory and not getting a victory. So I'll agree to disagree with you slightly there, Derek.
Okay. I'll leave that there. But anyway, St Johnstone converted the penalty and the game finished 1 each. So disappointing to lose a last-minute goal there. I think Celtic not drop points as well in the game they had as well. So I think they drew the game. So could have went even further ahead. But again, it was a bit of a dead rubber game. We're resting players. Disappointing in the end, but we'll take it on the chin. It still wasn't a loss. That's the main thing.
Exactly. Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. Did cause concerns though for the next game, because that was Sunday the 25th of April. It was at home to St Johnstone in the Scottish Cup quarter-final, where we lost 4-2 on penalties. Not good, was it, Dave?
No, Derek, it wasn't. And, as you're about to get into, on any other day, Derek, we would have won the game comfortably. It just shows you that sometimes things just aren't meant to be, and I think that was the case. Maybe could have done better at certain times, but certainly as you're about to get into the amount of opportunities that we had that we didn't take, it was it was one of these very disappointing. But I'll let you get into it, Derek.
So we made 5 changes from the league game against St Johnstone midweek. We lined up McGregor, Tavernier, Goldson, Helander, Barisic, Kamara, Davis, Aribo, Hadji, Kent and Morelos. On the subs bench we had McLaughlin, Wright, Simpson, Roof, Itten, Defoe, Stewart and King. First half really poor despite having a lot of possession. St Johnstone set up defensively. It was complete opposite of the way they played, I felt, against midweek. Midweek they were fairly attacking. They were trying to hit us all the time. This time they sat back. I don't know if it was the fact that they're playing at Ibrox and they knew it was a cup game, so they knew how to beat us from looking at previous cup game. They tried to hit us on the break, and we played right into their game by dropping the pace and playing with little urgency, which on occasion this season, as good as we have been guilty of doing that, dropping the pace too much. We were dangerous when we had to be, or rather Kent was dangerous. He upped the pace and drove the ball at pace at the defence, and it did cause them problems. None more so than on the 10th minute when the ball fell to Kamara. He was at the back post and it forced the keeper into a good save with his legs. St Johnstone's shown again that they can be dangerous going forward, forcing McGregor into a good save on the 12th minute. From our perspective, not enough pressure on the St Johnstone keeper when they got their chances, and they might have only been half chances even at that as well. St Johnstone, though, should have been down to 10 men at the end of the first half when a reckless challenge on Hadji with a high boot and stud shown, only a yellow given. It was a ludicrous tackle.
Yep, totally.
Any other day of the week, that would have been a sending off.
Yep, definitely.
So into the second half, we're knocking the ball about well from side to side. It was a kind of change from the first half. We did come out a wee bit more, started playing more expansively, a wee bit more with urgency as well. Had a few chances. 61st minute, we broke forward on the right with Tavernier, puts in a great cross into the back post. Morelos does everything right and gets a powerful header to it down to the left side on the inside of the post, and it spins up into the arms of the keeper. I mean, Morelos had a few chances up until this point as well, and he was just snatching at it. He just was too hungry for it, and it wasn't falling for him. And the fact that in this occasion he'd done everything right, it hits off the inside of the post and right into the keeper's arms who knew nothing about it. It kind of just looked like that this is not going to be our night.
I had that feeling as well, Derek. I was like you, as if he was trying too hard. You know my feelings on Alfredo. I absolutely adore the guy, but he looked really, really desperate to try and get in, rather than he's the way that has been playing, very composed. If it's not going to happen for him, he's damn sure going to make it happen for somebody else. But as you say, it was as if he was just trying a bit too hard, and that chance that you've just said there kind of summed it up for me, and I just had a bad feeling at that, thought that this isn't going to be your night tonight.
Yeah. On the 80th minute, he had another great chance. A lovely cross from Kent from the right to the back post. Falls to Morelos in space, who heads it back across towards goal, and the keeper gets his legs to it to keep it out. Again, it was, I think, the keeper in the right place at the right time. Yeah. I don't think he knew much about it. Again, Morelos did everything right, and that's the way it happened. 82nd minute, O'Halloran, he got in the box on the right, but only after he fouled Helander, which nothing was given for. He gets a shot off, but it was blocked by the legs of McGregor, and that's really how the 90 minutes ended up. It was a much better second half, but no breakthrough. St Johnstone were camped in their final third. It was all us, a lot of possession, a lot of chances, a few missed by Morelos, a couple of unlucky ones, and as I said, O'Halloran was really the only chance that St Johnstone had. So into extra time, 96th minute, corner from Tavernier from the left, in at the near post, flicked up off Helander, off the ground, and a great save by the keeper high at the near post to prevent it going in. 98th minute, drive and run by Kent down the left, was clipped as he went by the player, but he kept on going, a lot of possession and regained it. It got into the box, a great recovery tackle to put it out for the corner. 102nd minute, Goldson clearly taken out by Kane, foul given, but no second yellow card. It was a booking every single day of the week.
Totally.
And at this point, they should have had 3 off by this point, because I think Witherspoon, Kane and Craig had a number of fouls and never given the second booking.
Yeah.
So into the second half of extra time, 105th minute, shot by St Johnstone just by the right post. 108th minute, a long ball played up by St Johnstone. Got the break of the ball off our player. O'Halloran gets in front of Helander, gets a shot off, but McGregor narrows it down at the angle and blocks the shot. 111th minute, Helander off, Simpson on. Helander had picked up a knock from the previous play. 113th minute, St Johnstone corner in from the right, not cleared, ended in a shot from outside the box. And then on the 116th minute, we went 1-0 up with Tavernier scoring. A lot of possession, ending in a fantastic cross by Rebo into the back post, where Tav was waiting to pop it in with his head. One of the few great crosses that was done all night. And you thought, 4 minutes of extra time to go. That's it, done and dusted.
I didn't get to see it, Derek. I was travelling to my work at that stage. I had got time off to start late, and when I do things like that, incredible things happen, like we actually will draw and it goes into extra time, so I actually missed it, and I was listening to it on the radio and I was cheering when I was driving my car on the way through to work. And just like what you said, 4 minutes to hang on, that's all it was going to take, was 4 minutes, and I thought, surely we've done enough, surely. And then, as you're about to allude to, it didn't quite work out like that.
And then the unthinkable happens on the 121st minute, St Johnstone draw level. It was a corner. The St Johnstone keeper headers it, hits off his own player who knew nothing about it, and rolls into the back of the net. What is more galling is the fact that nobody picked up the St Johnstone keeper. He was wearing a fucking luminous top, and he was like 6'5".
Exactly.
How can nobody pick him up?
It was terrible. Mark and Derek, absolutely shocking. Helander has been huge for us this season, Derek. I think he's been a very much of an unsung hero. I honestly don't think that we would have conceded that goal had Helander stayed on at that point. It was dreadful defending, dreadful marking, when we just completely let ourselves down at that stage, and you just knew as soon as we conceded that goal that was us. We were going to go. It was going to go to penalties. It was going to be St Johnstone got their, one of their very few chances, and they put it away. But as you said, Derek, it's just so bad when you look back at it, when you see the circumstances, the size of the guy, for one, he's bloody massive. He's huge. And then, as you say, with that top on, he stood out like a militia beacon in the middle of the park. There's no way that nobody could have not possibly have saw him. I think that's what was more frustrating than anything else.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that was last kick of the ball, and it went to penalties, and I just didn't feel confident at all. I think you could tell by the players they didn't look confident either, and of late we haven't been very good with penalties, and as it turned out, was really the case. We went first. Tavernier steps up, misses down the middle, and the keeper saves after diving the wrong way. St Johnstone score next. Barisic then scores to make it 1 each. St Johnstone scores. Defoe scores. St Johnstone score again to make it 3-2. And then Roof misses. All St Johnstone had to do was score the next goal, which they did, and made it 4-2. And we're out the cup just like that. And it's one of these things, a lot of folk were going ballistic at the players I don't think you can. It was only our third loss in all competitions all season.
I know.
Yes, absolutely disappointing to go out that way. There was a big issue with the team in the first half. They just couldn't get going at all. St Johnstone, to their credit, were fantastic. It's the way to play against us. Everybody should know that by now. We need to get better at when teams close down like that. We had more than enough quality to beat them. As I said, all credit to St Johnstone, but really disappointing in the end.
Yeah, totally. St Johnstone had a game plan, Derek. They stuck to it. The game plan worked for them. Quite a lot. I'm not even going to say a few. A lot of decisions went completely against us. As you say, what happened with the referee? They could quite easily have been down quite a few players with the challenges that had been going in and the fouls which went against us. And just bitterly disappointing. It's been a fantastic season, Derek, and for us to know that at that stage was going to be probably the biggest game in the season at that point, and for it to happen like that is very disappointing. And I'm sure the players were absolutely gutted as well. Derek, it wasn't how we were wanting it to pan out. We were wanting to be in that cup final coming up on this Saturday as well, just to put the icing on the cake, but it wasn't to be, and it's maybe the one thing this season that has been very disappointing is the cup. We get into a knockout phase that we've not been able to overcome that, which is quite gutting for us.
And as Gerard said, one trophy out of 9 is not good enough for a club like Rangers, so it's something that they must do better on. The players know that, and given their heroics this year, and let's know, I've got a bit later on about what they've actually achieved this season.
Yeah.
3 losses all season. And unfortunately, they've came in 2 cup games. Or really, they've came in 3 cup games, really. So
you can check the time on this, just in case I'm getting my facts wrong. But something that I read the other day. Am I right in saying that Rangers have never been beaten over 90 minutes this season while Helander has been on the park? I read that somewhere the other day, and I thought that's quite an incredible stat, because I don't think he was playing when we got beat by St Mirren in the other cup game. It wasn't. We were drawing the game in 90 minutes in that game, and then he got injured. They had to go off, and that's when we got beat. And I'm trying to think if he was in the match against Slavia Prague. I don't know if he was playing in the game that we got beat at Ibrox or not. But if that's the case, it's quite an incredible stat. And I don't know if that's got a lot to do with it. Like I said, though, Derek, I think if he had been on the park for the full time, I don't think that goalkeeper would have got the space there, because I am always very confident when it's him and Goldson at the back, and these things happen. But just extremely disappointing for us. But again, Derek, we were also trying to be upbeat. We all know what was the most important thing for us this season, and I think just the fact that we'd done it so quickly, we got it wrapped up. We were really all hoping and praying that we were going to get the double, but it wasn't to be.
I mean, put this in perspective here. 2008, we were going for the quadruple, and we came within the last day of the season and the final of getting that quadruple, because 2008, people forget that we actually won the domestic cup double that year.
No, I know. Yep.
So that season is actually classed as a failure. Nobody likes that season because we never won the Europa League, and we never won the league as well. But we still won the domestic double in terms of the cup. So you can't say we win the league and this league's a failure because we never won the 2 cups. So put that into perspective that way.
No, it's not that way, Derek. And again, we go back to it again. You ask anybody, if you could win one trophy this season, what's it going to be? It's going to be the league. 100%. That's it. And we managed to do it. But this would have been, I'm sure this is a big regret of the players this season that happened. But it is the cup, and these things happen. I hate to bring out the old sayings in football, but in a cup game anything can happen, and unfortunately for us it did.
Yep. So we had a massive game to bounce back on, kind of just like we did when we lost against St Mirren as well. It was Sunday the 2nd of May at home to Celtic in the Premiership, and it was a fucking demolition of them.
It was really tremendous, Derek. It really was. I'm looking forward to your summary of this game, because I thought Rangers were absolutely terrific in this game.
So Rangers and Celtic and every other club in the UK took part in a social media blackout during the weekend of this game as a stance against social media companies not doing more to stamp out all kinds of abuse. It was a big loss, especially during Old Firm weekend, so it was obviously trying to make an impact. again, I'm not really sure that's going to make much difference, because social media companies don't really care until you start hitting them in their sponsorships and the way they make their money. It's not going to really care. And as we've seen since, everybody's seen, racial and sectarian abuse online. But you just need to keep plugging away at this thing. Of note, though, Andy Walker was absent from co-commentary duties with Sky. Rangers since confirmed he was banned after comments he made all around the Super League talk, where he stated that Rangers and Celtic would jump at the chance to sign up to similar, especially Rangers in their perilous financial state.
It's like a dog with a bone, eh? It's unbelievable. I want to know where he gets his information from. It's so amateur. It's so Celtic Ned Twitter, isn't it? It's like coming away with stuff like that when you have absolutely no evidence to back it up. It's incredible.
I mean, firstly, it's nowhere near true, and if anything, it's actually Celtic have got more money worries than us just now. But as a trading company, comments like that can have a negative impact on any potential or current investors, and also the stock market. So you can't just make accusations and make rumours up like that and treat them as facts. So Rangers are quite right in what they're saying, but not to be outdone by that. Right on our coattails, Celtic also banned him on the back of his comments about their Dubai trip. Comments he made months previously.
Yeah,
but they couldn't see fit to ban him at the time.
As ever, the time, yeah.
Yeah, as ever, always on our coattails. But into the game anyway, Helander and Arfield were out and won't play again this season. So we lined up McGregor, Tavernier, Goldson, Simpson, Barisic, Davis, Kamara, Aribo, Kent, Morelos and Roof. On the subs bench were McLaughlin, King, Hadji, Stewart, Wright, Itten and Defoe. It was a slow start with Celtic having a majority of the possession and they were playing with pace. However, around about the 10th minute, I felt that's when we started to batter them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
On the 17th minute, Simpson was given a yellow card for Edouard backing into Simpson, then going down. Absolutely baffling decision. He had his eye on the ball the whole way. The only person that could have done anything differently about that is Edouard. He clearly was looking for it. And I felt at that point, here we go, are we going to have one of these referees? Because apparently it was his first ever Old Firm game as well.
Yeah, I know, and I don't want to discourage the guy, but I felt in the last few games that he's came in, he has looked a wee bit hesitant, Simpson, and I thought, oh God, that's like the last thing that he's going to need is such an early yellow card, especially in this game, and I thought they'll definitely try and play for that and do more, but a few times he looked shaky, Derek, but thankfully throughout the whole, he managed to handle himself all right.
Absolutely. 25th minute, Aribo loses the ball in midfield. Elyounoussi drives the ball forward, hits a 30-yard shot. McGregor gets a touch to it and pushes it onto the bar, back into play, and then we regain possession. Poor by Aribo there, but what a fucking save by McGregor once again.
Incredible, Derek. Absolutely incredible. And again, it shows you the concentration levels the guy's got as well as the reactions, which are, superhuman. But the concentration levels, at that point, absolutely tremendous stuff by him again. Absolutely brilliant. Celtic fans must hate him almost as much as they hated Andy Gorham for breaking their hearts, especially this season anyway, because he's been absolutely tremendous.
I mean, how he does it is just, as Gerard said, you're afraid up talking about him because he just pulls off stuff like that time and time again.
Yeah.
Amazing. But anyway, a minute later, though, we went 1-0 up with Roof scoring and a red card for Callum McGregor at the same time. McGregor fouled Kamara in the Celtic final third. The ball broke to us. The referee played on, which was brilliant from the referee. The ball was down the left, played to Kent, hits a shot at the edge of the box, and Roof was goal side, chests it into the net. McGregor was given his second yellow card as we were celebrating as well for the foul just a few minutes beforehand. But the goal itself, what vision and what ingenuity from Roof to chest that into the back of the net there.
Derek, at first, when I watched it, I thought, that's like a deflection off the Roof. That's what I thought, because there's no way that was gone in. Then again, I thought he had maybe hit it with his shoulder. But when they slowed it down, it shows it's an absolute class goal. It shows you the angle that he got, and that, it was 100%. He meant to do it. It wasn't a fluke. He knew that he was going to stoop down to be able to get ahead to it, to get his chest out, and not only just stick his chest out, but guide it into the goal with his chest. hats off, absolutely fantastic. I don't think we've talked about the goal enough, actually. Even when I've watched it back, when it was on Sky, when it was on BBC and stuff like that, it was a fantastic goal. Just brilliant by him, really was brilliant. Great goal.
And just the red card itself as well. Callum McGregor, maybe about 10 minutes beforehand, picked up a yellow card, shocking challenge, so quite rightly given a yellow card.
Yep.
And just before the goal, obviously, he fouled Kamara. And again, it was more or less the exact same type of foul. From behind, late, shown with studs, justified yellow card. And the referee was absolutely fantastic, allowing the play to go on and then pulling him back once the goal had went in. So very well done, referee there. Nobody can have any complaints, but as we'll get into, what they did. However, as is always the case, Celtic pulled the goal back 3 minutes later on the 29th minute. It was a corner in from the left, into the back post, header back across, nobody picking up Edouard, who runs and heads the ball. Poor marking all round from the header back across the goal, and then to not tracking Edouard's run again. It's silly wee things like that when we have lost goals. That's what's cost us, just silly wee errors like that.
Yeah, no, it is, Derek. You're right. Again, I hate to bring it up. I feel that we're just so much more organised at the back when Hellander's playing in there. Again, it's another defensive partner for Goldson at the back. Maybe not going to gel, as well as they have been. But as you say, it was, just like a lack of concentration again at the back that allowed him to go stand there, especially him, because he is Celtic's danger man. You would like to think that there would be some sort of instruction, for marking him at set pieces and stuff like that, but unfortunately not this time. No.
However, we did regain control of the game pretty much straight away. We were getting right up the park. We had in the 30th minute a long ball into the box from Tavernier on the right. Roof tries to head it, comes off the Celtic defender, back to Roof, who has a shot and saved by the legs of the keeper, flicked up and then cleared. 31st minute, Kent on the right, cuts inside at the edge of the box, passes to Aribo, who was running in, takes one touch past the defender, hits a shot and saved for the corner. The resulting corner, 33rd minute, we went 2-1 up with Morelos. Resulting corner came in from the left. Goldson was at the back post with a powerful header off the defender, wasn't cleared, knocked about the Celtic box, eventually played to the right side with Kamara, passes to Morelos in the box on the right. He cuts inside, got the break of the ball off the defender's foot, skins Brown by nutmegging him, which was absolutely genius, and hits a high, powerful shot into the back of the net. Absolutely stunning from Morelos there.
Derek, that is what we want to see Alfredo Morelos doing. He gets the ball and he just runs, and as you say, the finish, sublime. That's Alfredo Morelos that we know, getting the ball and just hitting it with such accuracy and such power. But as you say, the build-up, that nutmeg on Scott Brown for that to be his final Old Firm game against us, that was the icing on the cake. I think there was a lot of people cheered more for that than actually when the goal went in, because he took the utter piss out of him. I'm sure he took great satisfaction out of that himself, because we know the battles that they've had over the past few seasons. Delighted for Alfredo. The monkey was, off his back in the last Old Firm game that he scored the header against them, because everybody was going on about him no scoring. That, to me, tremendous goal, and that was us in cruise control after that, Derek. I honestly did not see a way that we weren't going to win the game. You could just tell that our players were well up for it at that stage. But, the goal's fantastic. I still thinking about it just now. Delighted for him, and just tremendous.
I mean, it's when we lost the goal, when Celtic drew level, and then from then until we scored the second goal, we were like absolutely possessed. I've only ever seen that before in top European teams, when they've lost a goal and then they've realised, right, we need to up our game, and they just absolutely batter. It's almost like it was an annoyance. They were pissed off that they lost the goal. Fuck it, we're going up, and we're up in 10 gears, and we're just absolutely rattling them, because that's what they did until they scored the second goal. Yeah. And I know what folk are going to say, some of the orcs that are listening, and just now, hi, Ab, by the way, if you're listening, but some of the play this season has been like Barcelona. I kid you not. The one-touch, tight control, the way we can pass about, the goals we've scored has been incredible. And I think that was highlighted in this piece of play right from when we lost that goal. We just were like possessed. We went for it. We never gave up. We were chasing everything. It was incredible to see. Fantastic. And then it was really half-time. So delighted with that, obviously. Celtic down to 10 men. We're a goal up, playing very well.
Yep.
First 10 minutes of the second half, it was all us, putting a lot of pressure on Celtic defence, but not putting their keeper under pressure, looking for the perfect angle. Best chance was when Davis got the ball in the middle, had the opportunity to shoot, but he delayed it, tried to thread the pass through to Morelos. However, Morelos does, as he often does, drifted offside. 55th minute, cross in from the right by Forrest for Celtic. Turnbull with a 50p diving header and out for the goal kick. It was a dangerous move. If he had got it on target, could have been a different story. However, 2 minutes later, we went up the park and we got our third goal with Roof scoring. A lot of possession and pressure. Kent in the middle at the Celtic box. Passes to Roof, who threaded the ball through to Barisic on the left. Roof checked his run. Barisic with a lovely cross into the middle. Roof, almost unnoticed, made a charging run and headed it into the left of the goal. That was a thing of beauty. He started it, he finished it.
Derek, I was sort of rubbing my eyes at that stage because I thought to myself, who is this guy that we've got up front that is actually, terrorising them? This guy that's playing on the right, then he's playing as a striker, then he's coming over to the left, he's coming back into midfield, starting things off. Then I realised it was Kemar Roof, the player who I have been criticising for so long. He looked absolutely sensational in this game, Derek. This is the player I think Steven Gerrard thought that he was signing. Celtic couldn't get anywhere near him, Derek. They couldn't match his running. They couldn't match his movement. And as you say, that run into the box, he ghosted in there, in between two defenders. The cross was perfect. The header was fantastic. It was an absolutely tremendous goal. And hats off to the guy. I love it when players prove me wrong, and he certainly has. This game and the game could come in after that you're about to get into. But that was just that. As you say, it was a thing of beauty. Tremendous goal.
Yeah. So the rest of the game was all us. Celtic were absolutely done at this point. They just couldn't kick their own arse at that point. We had a few more chances. Barisic unfortunately got injured in the 79th minute and Wright came on for him. Made another change, Morelos off, Hadji on, and in the 86th minute Roof came off and Defoe came on. So they never even gave Roof a chance to get his hat-trick there.
I know. They've done that in the next two games.
Exactly. However, he's a magician. Defoe ends up coming on the park 6 minutes and making it 4-1. Celtic gave the ball away in midfield, passed to Hadji with a lovely flick to Defoe at the edge of the box on the left, gets in the box, turns the defender inside out, cuts inside and then hits a shot and it trundles into the back post. Just the guy is unbelievable. I put a tweet out on Saturday night that we know how good Gerrard was, how big a name was, and the same with his number two, Gary Mack. But we've got Jermaine Defoe in our team, Dave.
Exactly.
That's incredible.
The cherry on the top, Derek, wasn't it, for him? We've all been wanting him to score against Celtic. The same with Alfredo. And for him to come on and take his goal the way he did, it was just so cool and calm, wasn't it? I mean, how many defenders did they have round about him at one stage? 3. And he was able just to keep the ball at his feet, move one way, move the other, turn one defender. I mean, he turned that Celtic defender inside out, and as you say, the finish was effortless. He just passed it and it just trundled past the goalkeeper. He was never going to get there. It was tremendous. It was the icing on the cake. We had watched 3 tremendous goals, and then for him to score at the end, you could see how much it meant to him as well. He was taken aback himself by scoring. I'm sure that's one, again, a guy with his quality and his career will look back on his time with us and really fondly, especially this season. And he's just had a very small part to play, but he's had a key part to play, Derek. And I was absolutely delighted that he scored, because, as I say, it's another thing that he'll be able to look back on to say, well, I scored that goal against Celtic in an Old Firm game. And we won 4-1. A tremendous scoreline, Derek. I was hoping that we would go on and try and get even more against them, but it was just we were in dreamland at that point. We were in Partyland. They were completely demoralised, and it was just great to see. We were playing some fantastic football, and the scoreline to go with it. We couldn't have asked for much more at that point.
I equate that result there to when we beat them with Warburton in the semi-final. That victory we had there spurred them on to spend big and get a good manager and spend in the decent areas. Celtic, we know that they've got a massive rebuilding job to do, But you would have thought, I mean, that game was on the 2nd of May. It's now the 19th of May, and they're still waiting for how to make a decision by the look of it. They have not just said, fuck it, we're going to spend money and we're going to go out and we're going to get a bigger manager than how.
I think times are different now for them, especially, Derek. It's certainly not the, we'll go and ask our investors to come in and pump millions and millions, and I don't think that they can do that. And this is when we really have to, take Scottish football to be ours again and to be completely dominant, and going by that, the way that they've been this season, and then, as I say, culminating in that performance against them, the last game at Ibrox there, that just shows how dominant that we are. And it was just great to see, Derek, the belief and everything, and for the fact that they've not beaten us at all this season is unheard of, not even in a cup game. It's just great. Absolutely brilliant. I love it. I'm absolutely loving it at the moment. And that, as I say, for me, was just, I keep going back to Defoe, but that was like, again, the cherry on the top, wasn't it? It was just fantastic.
Yeah. The aftermath is, as you could have predicted, John Kennedy doesn't think that McGregor should have been sent off. He apparently sought out the referee at half-time for clarity, or as they always do, over the first yellow card. The referee claimed it was for a reckless challenge, which it was, there's no doubt about it. The Clyde one phone-in. Dave, I have never laughed so much in my life. I don't make a habit of listening to them, but this season has been exceptional. But this one, after this game, was amazing. It
has been, Derek. I've been the same as you. I've done a boycott on Radio Clyde for quite a few years. This season, though, I must admit I have listened to it a lot. All of their mad fans have been absolute comedy gold. Derek, it has been one of the funniest things. And I am not listening to Radio Clyde for any sporting expertise, especially when they've got the likes of Mark Wilson and Hugh Keevins there, but it is purely for the comedy value. It's just tremendous, Derek, isn't it? It really, really is. It brings bonkers onto a whole new level.
I mean, there was a fan that was arguing that about it shouldn't have been a second yellow card because, well, they had scored the goal and they shouldn't have brought the play back. Then Gordon Duncan read out the rules, to which the caller still disputed it. It was a case of, it was mad. And then they had a guy who only named himself by the name of Mr. Tate.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, man. I can't even remember half the shit he was talking because there was so much of it. But the fact that he could be so up his own arse to call himself Mr. Tate, not even by his first name, which is quite funny what Gordon Duncan actually said. I only know you by Mr. Tate. I don't know your first name. You haven't given it here. What a ball bag. Anyway, there was an update to Barisic's injury. It was a tight quad and not expected to be as serious as he first thought. He'd never featured in any of the other games, the last two remaining games, and he should be fine for the Euros. So that's the main thing going into these last few games. Going to be a lot of players going to the Euros, and you can understand if they're a wee bit, trepidatious about going into these games, going into everything full blooded. But fortunately, it should be fine. There was a video emerged as well of on the park where Brown was complaining to the referee about a challenge Morelos put on their keeper. Audio can be quite clearly heard with Morelos making a crying motion with his hands and then going to him, boo baby, boo baby.
It is. I've seen the GIF as well, Derek, which is tremendous also. Great with Morelos. You just know that there is a deep-lying hatred on the park between the two of them, and I think that's going back to Morelos' goal, for that to be Brown's last Old Firm game, and for him to get humiliated like that, nutmegged inside his own box, and Morelos rifling the ball into the goal. It couldn't have gone much better for Morelos, could it have, Derek? It was just tremendous. Boo, baby.
But anyway, the next game, Wednesday the 12th of May, we won 3-0 against Livingston in the Premiership. We had two changes from the team that beat Celtic, McLaughlin in for McGregor and Hadji in for the injured Barisic. We only named 6 subs as well due to injuries and suspensions. Obviously, we've got the COVID-5, and weirdly, Aribo was playing left back, but honestly, you would have thought he was a natural.
Exactly. It shows how good a player he is. Derek, he's been fantastic for us this season. There's only been an odd couple of games throughout the season where you've said that he's been off his game, and that again, as you say, he never looked shaky, did he? He just looked as if he was your bog standard SPL left back playing in there. There was no hassles. His defending was excellent. He was still trying to get forward and still trying to do a bit of trickery as well. It's just, again, it shows the mark of a very good player. It's somebody that can go in, especially that type of position, Derek. A guy that can go for playing as an attacking midfielder and can slot in there. Just excellent. Really good. And that wouldn't have done his confidence the world of good as well, knowing that he was able to step in there and play like that. So just great to see.
So we're lined up: McLaughlin, Tavernier, Goldson, Simpson, Aribo, Davis, Kamara, Hadji, Roof, Kent and Morelos. On the subs bench we have McGregor, Defoe, Itten, Wright, Stewart and King. So the first real play never actually happened until the 21st minute. It was a long ball by Livingston and we ended up clearing it. The other shot, mind you. 27th minute, Hadji with a shot from 25 yards just by the left post. 35th minute, Kent gets a bit of space and hits a rasper from 25 yards on the left but goes wide to the right. And on those three words you love to hear happened on the 40th minute, penalty to Rangers. The ball was played forward to Roof, who had a lovely back heel to Hadji running into the box. The keeper clearly taking out Hadji, so clear as day penalty. 41st minute, Tavernier steps up, slots into the bottom left corner. Keeper guessed right, but he hit it into the side net in such an angle, right into the corner, and there was no chance the keeper was actually getting to it.
Yep, exactly.
So, despite nothing really happening apart from the penalty, we're 1-0 up. It wasn't the greatest of performances so far. We were certainly dominant on top, just really weren't moving the ball about. But again, you've got to caveat it with a dead rubber game. Into the second half, 55th minute, fireworks from the gathered fans in the corner. Obviously, they shouldn't have been there, but a bunch of fans you could see into the stadium. They're going to take the chance if they can get it.
Exactly, yeah.
And then on the 57th minute, Kent made it 2-0. Tavernier drives the ball forward on the right. Lovely dinked long cross ball to Kent in the middle. Kent with a first time cushioned volley to pass it to the right to Morelos, who then crosses back to Kent, who slides it home. Great goal. Yep,
fantastic goal, Derek, as you say, and came at the perfect time as well. At that point, he was making it an easy game, for the rest of the match, but certainly the players were able to sort of relax. They had the win in the bag, and great for Kent as well. He had a fantastic game up until that point, so really, really pleased for him.
Yeah. Once again, though, we nearly outdone ourselves as well, because in the 59th minute, 2 minutes after we scored, the ball was in from the right by Livingston, knocked away by the head of our defender, but only to the edge of the box, where Livingston player hit a slice shot off the bar, up in the air, and then punched away by McLaughlin. So, living dangerously just after a goal again. 68th minute, cross in from the right by Livingston, deflected into the path of the attacker, who had an open goal from 6 yards, and side foots it off the outside of the post, out for the goal kick. An absolute shocker of a miss, wasn't it?
It really was, Derek. It was totally couldn't believe it. And as I'm sure you're about to get into, it wasn't the first, great chance that he had to score that boy, was it?
No, certainly not. Made a couple of subs, and the 80th minute, Roof and Morelos off, Itten and Defoe on. And then on the 82nd minute, Hadji puts us 3-0 up. Lovely strength by Aribo on the left to shrug off the Livy player. Plays a fantastic pass to Itten just outside the box, who plays an equally fantastic pass across the box to Hadji, who hits a first-time shot into the left side of the net. Brilliant goal. All came from Aribo as well, from the strength he's shown to beat off the player.
Yeah, and again, delighted for Hadji as well. Maybe feeling a wee bit hard done to himself, because he's not been that much involved in the past few games. He's a guy, Derek, that when he's on form, he looks absolutely world class. I think he sometimes suffers the lack of confidence a wee bit, but he certainly looked excellent in this game and took his goal tremendously well. Really pleased for him.
So that's how the game finished up, 3-0. Got to be delighted as well. Livingston, potential bogey team, especially playing away at their AstroTurf Park as well, but passed with flying colours. The headlines after the game, though: police hunting fans who let off fireworks. Contrast that with the headlines after the Partick Thistle game. I think it was at the weekend previously, where they got promotion, I believe. Their fans also let off fireworks, and it was basically jubilant Partick fans celebrate. That's the kind of shit we're up against, and we'll get into after the next game, Dave, won't we?
Yes, we certainly will.
So, the day had finally come. It was Saturday the 15th of May. We won 4-0 at home against Aberdeen, and it was trophy day. It had been a long time coming, 2 months in the making. I know we're going to cover some stuff that, Dave, you don't really want to cover, but I think it's gone too far and we really need to cover it because it's an absolute scandal what's happened. But we'll get into that in due course. We'll cover all the great stuff first, won't we?
Yeah, and it was. We'll concentrate on all the, tremendous events that's been happening and the fantastic performances as well. And this game was no exception to that, Derek.
Definitely not, no. So the night before, the Union Bears had organised around 100 fans to line either side of the Clyde at the Squinty Bridge and let off red flares. Absolutely stunning. Some cracking images, some cracking videos. Done me proud as a fan. And if you're really having a pop at our fans for doing it, like Holocom Supremo's partner Lorraine Herbison was doing, then you really are just a bitter fud. There was another classic from another idiot said that we had set the Clyde on fire and it was imagery of rivers of blood.
It sounds like something out Game of Thrones.
I mean, it was fucking hell.
Derek, it was a spectacle to behold, is what it was. It was very well organised. Personally, I knew nothing about it at all, so it shows you how much work has went into it to get that many people to be able to pull it off. It was absolutely spectacular what they did, and for Rangers fans watching it, it was just absolutely incredible. I don't think we'll see scenes like it again. Brilliantly organised by guys at the Union Bears. Hats off to you. The whole thing was just fantastic.
Although, did you see the Croatian celebrations? I can't remember who it was. It Split or something like that.
No.
They lit up the whole city with fireworks, red fireworks all over the city. So I think next year when 56 comes, Union Bears, you need up your game.
No, that's when we win the Champions League next season, Derek.
Oh, yeah, right. Absolutely. You're right there.
Yep.
Next thing here is Tavernier also bought 55 gold-coloured bottles of champagne, put them in a fancy box, which were all engraved, the bottles and the box, with teammates' names engraved on it. Absolutely classy, brilliant gesture as well from Tavernier.
Yeah, you can see everything that's came out after it, as we'll speak about, Derek. You can see how much this has meant to him. The guy that's been there the longest out of the playing staff, a guy that's, had his ups and downs. He's taking a fair bit of criticism, especially by us. And he's came back. He's proved everybody wrong. He's been fantastic this season, absolutely tremendous. And as you say, that's just a great gesture and a fantastic keepsake for everybody that played in the team. Sheer class for the captain.
Next thing here, it's been hinted at for a number of weeks now. Tiny Temper finally dropped his song dedicated to our 55th title. And it was called Glorious 55. Now, let's face it, the song's a bit shit, isn't it? But him rapping about no surrender, can you see us now, getting stuck right into Celtic, and the fact that our major musician has made a song about Rangers is absolutely it's bonkers. It really is.
It really is, and apparently a lot of the vast majority of the phrases used in the song were taken by players. I heard, I'm hoping it's true that he put out requests to members of the first team to ask what to go into the track, and these are some of the things that he came back with. So, as you said, Derek, I'm a huge fan of rap music, but more my era. So, I'll not say much about the actual track itself, but class, as you say, that the guy has got involved. It took time and effort to come out with a track for us. I think his link with the team is Leon Balogun for some reason. I don't know if they're friends or friends of friends, I'm not sure. But just for him to actually go out and take the time and effort to do that for us, absolutely brilliant, and I'll certainly not be forgotten by the Rangers supporters, so thank you. If he's listening by any chance, or anybody else that knows him, it's a great gesture for the club, and we're all delighted with it.
I didn't really mean it was a bit shit, so.
It's all right, Derek, I can admit when I'm wrong. I'm not like you. It's all right.
As I said, we'll leave the fan issues to the end in the marches. Rangers TV, though, was an absolute bloody disgrace. It was buffering the pre-match, so I never got any of that at all. It sorted itself out until really the last 20 minutes, where I seen bits of bobs of it. I missed the last goal. I've not even watched it back yet. And I've only seen bits of the trophy lift as well, and live anyway. I missed them even lifting the proper trophy. I was just gutted. As I said on social media, 10 years of waiting, and then Rangers TV lets me down. But
it was the thing that worried me the most, Derek. I was sitting watching the pre-game on Rangers TV, and I know that there has been issues. I know that there would have been more than normal or more the usual amount of people watching it on RTV. I had a horrible feeling that it was going to happen. That's why I chose to watch it on Sky, and I'm glad now that I did. And it's just I had a feeling there would be issues, and when I heard the problems that you were having, mate, it was an absolute disaster. And you put it quite well in your tweet that you'd waited that long to watch us lift the trophy, and you didn't even get a chance to because of poor quality, which is not your fault in the slightest. So, very poor. Maybe the only thing that blighted the day, especially on the park. So, a bit of a nightmare.
But anyway, the game itself, one change from the Livingston game. So we lined up McGregor, Tavernier, Goldson, Simpson, Aribo, Kamara, Davis, Hadji, Roof, Kent and Morelos. On the subs bench we had McLaughlin, Firth, Defoe, Itten, Wright, Stewart, Arfield and King. And we went 1-0 up on the 4th minute with an OG. The ball was knocked about well on the left, past to Hadji in the centre near the Aberdeen box. Lovely cross to Tavernier on the right of the box, who crosses it in and deflects off the boot of the Aberdeen defender and into the back of net. Take it everywhere they come.
Exactly. And I think at the end of the game, Tav was raging the fact that he wasn't getting to claim the goal because he was told just after the game that it had been put down as an own goal, so you could tell that he was desperate for that to actually count for him. And I think that would possibly have been his 20th goal of the season as well, Derek, but it wasn't to be.
No. And then it really turned into a very scrappy game. We were in control, but we're doing nothing. Neither keeper having anything to do. A few wayward crosses from us. Aberdeen trying to hit us in the break, but nothing really coming from either team. And then, out of the blue almost, 33rd minute, we scored a second goal with Roof scoring. Great tenacity by Kent on the left in the Aberdeen half to win back the ball. Ball flicks up. Kent collects the ball. Aribo leaves it for Kent, who makes a driving run down the left, gets past the player, gets to the goal line, cuts it back to Roof, who has a flick shot and deflected off the Aberdeen defender and at the back of the net. I would have thought that was an OG, but it got officially put down as Roof, so chuffed there.
Yeah, no, it was. Great move, Derek. And again for Defoe, although it didn't go in cleanly, the strike that he managed to get on it, because he was at a bit of an angle, the ball was at some pace, it was a fantastic flick into the goal. And as you say, it's taken a bit of a deflection, but I certainly wouldn't take it away from him. And excellent scoreline at that point, Derek, again, and the team looking really, really confident.
Yep, absolutely. On the 39th minute, Kent running towards goal in the centre, clearly taken out. Ref was looking right at it, nothing given. Typical referees, eh?
Yep.
So got to be delighted with that. Clearly on top, 2-0 up, Aberdeen, nothing in it. Happy with that?
Definitely, yeah. Great score going into half time. Again, the players looking, like they were well in control at that point, Derek.
Yep. And then half time came and it kind of turned on its head because it was all Aberdeen for the first good part of the second half. 49th minute, cross in by the left from Aberdeen after some possession, right to the back post. Attacker got a skiff of his head to it and wide. If it was a proper connection, then it was in. 51st minute, another cross from the left by Aberdeen, headed down into the ground and we cleared. Aberdeen were appealing for handball, but nothing was given. I can't remember how that went anyway. 56th minute, Aberdeen with a defence splitting through ball. Their attacker gets the ball, takes it to the left, crosses into Lewis Ferguson with an open goal, who smashes it off the bar from 6 yards, bounces off the line and are eventually cleared. Living dangerously at that point there.
We really were, Derek, and I'll put that down as a really bad miss by Ferguson, rather, because it would have looked easier for him to actually just prod that into the net. Thankfully, it came crashing off the bar, but we were living dangerously at that point.
59th minute, Goldson with a sloppy sideways pass to Hadji at the edge of the box, intercepted by the attacker, taken to the right and a shot hit. McGregor makes a save with his leg and then cleared by the defender. That was a Goldson issue of last season, that sloppy play. When do you ever play a cross goal, pass like that? Granted, it was at the edge of the box, but it was a cross ball like that. You should never play that, but we'll let him away with that. 60th minute, though, we completely put the game to bed and we went 3-0 up with Roof scoring. Ball played down the right on the deck, intercepted by the defender, but a sloppy pass into the middle. The ever-alert Hadji, who nips in, collects the ball, passes to Roof, who takes a touch to control and get it forward and hits a shot from the outside of the box and into the back of the net. Great goal.
A fantastic goal again, Derek. And it was at that stage, I was sitting watching the game with my son, and as you say, Aberdeen were getting all these chances, clear-cut chances. And I said to him, how funny would it be if we just go up the park and just score. That would have been so demoralising for them, putting all the effort in, getting the chances, and we just go up, and that's exactly what we did. Roof, again, in the last two games, Derek, has looked like our main man, very dangerous, and that was just a great move, as you say. Hadji latches onto it and doing what he does best, being the provider. Great ball in to Roof, who, went through, as you say, one touch, smashes it into the net outside. Fantastic goal, and just cruising, Derek. It was great.
Yeah. And I'm sure it was you that sent me a stat. Considering you didn't like Roof, he's now scored more goals this season in the league than Morelos.
Exactly. No, Derek, you know me. I love everybody that plays for Rangers, but I have been very, very critical of the guy, especially, up until the Celtic game there. I thought he's, ever since he got injured and came back, he didn't look like the player that he was at all, but he certainly made me eat my words in the last two games, because I thought he's been absolutely fantastic. And as you say, quite incredible that he's actually scored more goals than Alfredo Morelos, which, if you were to look back, you would say, no, there's no chance, but he actually has. So, again, it's great that we've got, these forward players, Derek, that are all contributing to the team. That, for me, has been a big part of our success this season. We've not just had to rely on Alfredo Morelos to score. Everybody's been scoring, and when you get your front three players all scoring a lot of goals and have your captain at right back coming in to be the top goal scorer, it's tremendous. The goals are coming from everywhere in the park. Again, hats off to the guy. He proved me wrong. And it looks as if he's really loving his time here as well. He's always got positive things to say about the club. So, long may that continue. Here's hoping that was just a wee lull that he had, Derek. And next season I'll be going on about how much a fantastic player he is, and that I never ever slagged him off ever.
With a bit of luck, yes. So the game kind of petered out after that. Aberdeen had a couple of chances. We had a couple of chances. We made a few subs. Defoe came on in the 61st minute, and he made it 4-0 on the 87th minute. As I said, RTV was playing up, so I completely missed it. I haven't had a chance to watch it back again. Dave, I don't know if you can fill me in.
Derek, very, very similar to the goal that he scored against Celtic. The ball played through to him in the box, and he just seemed to have an array of Aberdeen defenders' legs surrounding him. But his close control, it just able to dink past one, but not sort of close control and run like what you would see Joe Aribo, who seems to be kind of on his tiptoes and sort of jinks about. It was just sheer control with the outside of the foot. It goes one way, goes the other way, and then he just places the ball past the goalkeeper as cool as you like. And that's what we love about Defoe, Derek. He just makes things like that look so effortless. And, comes on again for the icing on the cake again on a fantastic day for us. Great fitting that was him that done it again. Delighted for the guy. You can see how much an influence he has in the whole team, because everybody was over celebrating exactly like the Celtic game as well. So you can tell how popular he is. Just great. It was a great goal and a great end to the game at that point, Derek.
Yeah. So that's how the game ended, and then it became the celebrations on the park. Apparently Doncaster and somebody else from the SPFL were there. They were in the stand, but they didn't present the trophy. That was John Gregg. What a fantastic moment for him that is, certainly, given where we've came from, where we are now. Amazing scenes all around. Morelos, I think it was, tipping champagne all over Gerrard. Yeah. He was pranking Jack, telling Jack to come and sit down.
I was hoping that you were going to say this, because this for me, Derek, was the highlight of the celebration.
He was sitting down trying to get his picture taken on the advertising hoarding, motioned for Jack to come and sit down next to him, and he had put his finger, so when Jack was about to sit down, he was going to put his finger up his bum. Just absolutely amazing.
It was hilarious. It was hilarious. And I've heard Tav getting interviewed, and he can only describe Alfredo Morelos as just being a total and utter pest, and a pest to him. But in a good way, he says he's just a total child, big kid all the time, and just wanting to have a carry on constantly. And I think you can see that. And that, to me, that was the highlight of the celebrations for me, Derek. It was so funny. You could see how much they were all laughing as well. It was like a schoolboy sort of day, wasn't it? But just great to see. It really was.
And then there was really great interviews with McGregor, Gerard Davis, Tavernier as well on Sky Sports. Tavernier on Rangers TV with Bomber Brown. Bomber was hilarious. He basically threatened him to stay here for the rest of his career.
He did, he certainly did.
I would have been shitting it if it was Tavernier, to be honest.
The interviews were brilliant as well on RTV. Derek, I sat and I listened to every single one of them, all the players and staff that got interviewed. That's what I did that night, sat back, and it was just great. You can see how much it means to everyone. Again, going back to Jermaine Defoe, I thought his interview was absolutely tremendous as well. For a guy who's done so much in the game, so much respected down in England, for him to come and show the sheer joy and sheer love that he's had for his time here and for the club again, that was a bit of a highlight for me also. It was great.
Yeah. Players then had a celebration in one of the lounges, which we'll get on to later on. But most of them were still in their match strip as well, hadn't even changed. Yeah. There was a video of Tavernier arriving back home with his family there, and he had the trophy as well, and he was celebrating. There's an absolute amazing picture of him in the morning. He had apparently slept in his match-worn strip, and he had the trophy next to him. He must have been absolutely howling, but I'm sure
smelly bugger. Aye, no, definitely not.
And then probably for me, the highlight of everything, the next day, it was absolutely stunning. The Dubai Loyal, amongst others, organised for the tallest building in the world, the Burj Khalifa, to be lit up in Rangers colours and had an LED projection in it. It was absolutely stunning. It really was, Dave.
Derek, it was you that sent me. Sorry, I got a link sent and I got stuff sent for you. I honestly thought that it was going to be a superimposed thing. It was going to be a joke or a wind-up. But to actually see that happen, it's incredible. I mean, I dread to think how much money was spent by the Dubai Loyal to get that to happen. It was absolutely stunning to watch. I'm glad that Rangers latched onto it as well to let everyone see it. It was just incredible. If we thought that the sights going down the side of the Clyde the night before were incredible, then this, was certainly, it even topped that for me. Absolutely spectacular stuff, and again, a fitting tribute to the team this year. Brilliant.
Yeah. So, Dave, I know we didn't really want to cover this.
I know it's been a good, light-hearted, celebratory pod so far, Derek. We've been recording now for how long? About an hour and a half in total.
And a half, yeah.
Oh dear. Right, okay. On you go, mate.
I'm going to try and take this through kind of chronologically here because there's been so much utter shit, some hilarious stuff, but it's actually quite serious shit as well when you think about it. Caveat everything with that, we know there's a pandemic ongoing, and yes, we know fans shouldn't have been there. However, Pandora's box was opened 2 days previously when there was a Home Office immigration operation going on where some MSPs were actively encouraging people to attend that scene to protest and stop the two males being arrested. Now, the reasons for their arrest are really not for this pod. That's another story altogether. We're not getting into that. No. All I will say about it is it was a lawful order and ultimately it was obstruction of justice. However, in their wisdom, the Justice Secretary and the First Minister and many other MSPs and senior MSPs praised the actions of the people stopping the arrests. Not a peep about the fact that nearly between 500 and 1,000 people gathered there. You cannot have rules for one gathering and different ones for another gathering. You cannot do that. And that is the message they sent out, the fact that it's fair game. If you want to attend en masse, that's fair game, because they never criticised it one iota. So in the run-up to this, Rangers have been constantly putting out messages to stay safe, stick within the guidelines. It was known 2 months in advance since we won it that fans would turn up at Ibrox and George Square, regardless of what people are going to tell them. Union Bears had organised a march to George Square. That's really the only thing I kind of have an issue with, to be honest. We need to box clever with it. However, thousands of fans turned up at Ibrox in the morning before the game. The video of the bouncy on the Squinty Bridge is absolutely amazing. It really is. As I said, caveat this all with the fact that they shouldn't have been there, blah, blah, blah. I'm not talking about that anymore, because that's another story.
Yeah.
There was lots of flares, there was lots of singing, there was lots of celebrating. It was all good atmosphere at that point. After the game, it then moved on to George Square. And from all accounts, it was largely peaceful. The police issued a statement basically saying as much. And they also said that there was a handful of arrests for minor public order offences, such as drinking in the street, flares, but nothing out of the order at that point. And the last line of their statement, for me, was very telling, because it sounded as if it was a bit of a fuck you to all you keyboard warriors calling for more arrests. We're the police, we know the tactics, and we'll deal with it. And I have no issue with that whatsoever, because you've seen it all on the run-up. Because, Dave, you were probably like me, checking your phone constantly, and it was interspersed with wee arseholes complaining at the fact, this is going on, this shouldn't be happening, right? Again, same people were probably the ones that were saying nothing about the whole protest for the immigration issue before as well.
And other marches that have been taking place and demonstrations that have been taking place as well, Derek.
Exactly. So throughout all the day, we had Hamza Yousaf on Twitter slamming the disgraceful scenes, and he even had the cheek to say that the rules are the same for everyone and the evidence is clear. When large numbers of people gather in close proximity, there's an increased risk of transmission. And other MSPs and SNP councillors joined him on Twitter in saying that as well. Now, firstly, he's got one massive cheek saying that about the fact that the rules are the same for everyone, because clearly, no, they aren't. Because you never done the same condemnation of the people that were turning up to protest all throughout the last summer, all throughout this year, and we've had numerous marches, protests, etc. And it doesn't matter what the cause is. A mass gathering is a mass gathering.
Yeah.
And as well, in terms of people in close proximity, there's now evidence to suggest, credible evidence that suggests people gathering outside has a very, very low transmission rate.
Yeah. Yep.
So then I've seen a few tweets from Rangers fans around 5:30 saying that the atmosphere is definitely starting to change. Alcohol was clearly taking over and it was starting to come unruly. Around 8-9 o'clock, there was a police statement saying that the public order are coming in, so we've issued a dispersal order due to the increased disruption. At that point, I felt fair enough. We've celebrated long enough. Everybody's had fun. It's time to go home, and you could have no issue with that whatsoever. And then a couple of videos, unfortunately, started to emerge from Celtic accounts, no less. Now, bear in mind, and I'm not saying this is the actual case that happened, but bear in mind, last season when Osijek came over to Glasgow, 2 of their fans got stabbed, and it was all the violence was orchestrated by that horse-assaulting wanker Celtic fan. Now, as I said, I'm not saying that that's the case this time, but it's funny what type of accounts the videos emerged from. None from Rangers fans, all from this. The videos did show a couple of scuffles starting to break out. Again, I'm not condoning the violence whatsoever. It was a disgrace. Some fans and some people, I'm not even going to call them fans anyway, that some people cannot handle their drink. And again, I'll caveat this with it, I'm not condoning it whatsoever. But you see worse in the town centres every other weekend at normal times. Mm-hmm. And there's not the same outcry. And then there's videos of fans lobbing plastic barriers at the police and a few videos of fans chanting sectarian stuff. That is an absolute disgrace. If you've been celebrating all day, the police quite rightly want you to move on now. And I've seen the public order guys marching in mass and try to close down the street. I think if you're the type of person, when you see the police en masse marching down the street to move you on in full riot gear and you want a challenge from them, you must be some kind of utter fuckwit. And you are not a fan of this club. You're just an absolute disgrace of a human being, never mind anything else. You might disagree with the police. You might disagree with the politics. You might disagree with the reasons for them doing it. But sorry, didn't get yourself involved in that, because ultimately all that's happened is the Rangers fans in general have now got a bad reputation for you causing issues. Now, needless to say on that, Hamza Yousaf was straight on Twitter. Now, as I've said, there is absolutely no excuse whatsoever for the fighting, especially not the police assaults. Nobody has condoned that, and nobody will condone that. Rangers have since issued a statement slamming those alleged fans. As I've said to you just there, some people in society see public order closing down a situation and they take it as a personal offence. And from all accounts, up until that point, the police were spot on with their tactics, and you can have no complaints about them. It was when the public order came in that people were so dismissive of them. Now, I've seen a video, it looked a bit heavy-handed, where there was a woman sitting on a bench or sitting on one of the statues, and she was chucked off and hit in the head by one of the riot shields. Now, I don't know what's led up to that. That's the problem with social media videos. People sometimes don't give you the full situation. But if you see that, Dave, are you just going to sit there and ignore the police? No, you're not. So you need to be, again, it's about boxing clever. Now, after everything had cleared up, there was a video from an absolute walloper walking around George Square in the dead of night to be offended by the litter.
Yes.
Now, granted, it was an absolute state with broken bottles, but that's all it was. It was some litter, and I'm not going to try and dismiss that as, oh, it's only litter, but that's at the end of the day, it really was. It wasn't nuclear waste. It was a bit of litter. It was cleared up by 6:30 in the morning. Folks saying Rangers should be billed for the clean-up. Clearly, you are living in cuckoo land. It's a recurring theme, which we'll get into, with people just want to blame the club for something that they have no control over. But as I pointed out on Twitter, the same mess gets left at every gathering when drinks involved. Hogmanay, Transmit, any public gathering like that. People then claim to me, well, the cost, people paid tickets for that. The cost of the tickets, the cost of clean-up's factored into that. Well, no, it really isn't, and it doesn't factor into the fact there's a cost to the clean-up, like other places like ScotRail, who were actually complaining after one of the transmits with the mess that was left after one of the events there. Now, there was estimates of 15,000 fans there, 28 arrests so far, including ones from the earlier on, which were for minor disorder. I don't know about you, Dave. I've only seen about 3 or 4 videos of violence and maybe a maximum of 50, 60 persons involved. Again, it's a disgrace. It happened and nobody's condoning that. But once again, people are letting guilt by association run riot. And this is typified by one journalist when she was reporting actually on a fan alleging they'd been assaulted by the police, that 15,000 fans were rioting. Absolute scandalous reporting, Dave.
Derek, I want to just quickly go back to, you were talking about fans fighting and throwing things at the police and things like that. What I can't understand, and you said there that maybe some people will see the police in all their riot gear and take that as a personal challenge that they're trying to get to them. I can't get it through my head that these people would be, how it doesn't, the first thing into their head is, how is this going to look on the club? Right? That's, the first thing that would be going through my head. We know through years and years of experience that Rangers fans, people will be going out to scrutinise every single thing that Rangers as a club do and the fans do. And there's other things coming up, the farcical things that we'll get into. And the first thing that I would say was, yes, everybody and their granny knew that there was going to be, I actually thought there would be more than 15,000 people turning up at Glasgow. Everybody knew that it was going to happen, and as I'm sure you're going to get into as well, there was things brought up about that. But for the idiots that get drunk, surely the first thing that I would love, you're there to celebrate your team winning the league, getting 55. Surely that must be your first thought, right? And if that's not your first thought, then there's something seriously wrong with you, that you think it's acceptable to go out and cause bother and throw things at the police and blah, blah, blah. The club will get totally crucified for it, as will all the fans will be tarred with the same brush, blah, blah, blah. I've seen it time and time again, and that's what I can't get in my head, Derek, is the fact that fans, that's not what they're thinking as well. That's what's getting me. Whether they're blind drunk or not, the primary reason that they were there was to celebrate Rangers winning the league. And if they can't see that anything negative that they do is going to come back on the club and on them by everybody, and trust me, Derek, there's a section of society that we really have killed this year with the fact that we came out and we've won that league, because people are looking for the slightest wee thing to have a go. And when you do something as serious as that, it's going to affect everyone connected with the club. And that's my main gripe about it all, is the fact that that doesn't seem to come into people's heads, that how acting like that is going to affect all the other supporters and the club.
I mean, sadly, as is the case with a lot of non-Rangers and non-football fans, is there's too many in positions of power especially, that their first thought is typical Rangers fans or typical football fans, see if that's your first thought after you seeing what happened on Saturday, then quite simply your opinion means absolutely nothing, because you're not adult enough to understand that it's not a Rangers or football issue. You're an immature, bigoted arsehole if that's really the case. Drinking culture and drinking violence has been described as a society issue, but I don't actually agree with that. I think drink brings its problems because a small minority cannot handle their drink and they cause the issues. Combine that when they get caught, they don't get punished properly. There's a very weak punishment line when it comes to this, and they don't see it themselves that they maybe need to stop drinking or stop drinking as much. I mean, Dave, you and I have been on countless nights out together and we've both been absolutely mangled, but not once have we been in a position where we've been caused an issue, drunk and disorderly, we've wanted to go and start a fight, have a go at the police or anything like that. It's in the mindset of some people, and these people, it's not even an education, it's they're quite clearly incapable of having a drink without causing an issue. I had a friend who done that all the time, and I disassociated myself with him because I wasn't getting involved and dragged down to his level. It's a society issue in that respect because there's too many people that are like that, and there's not enough punishments getting meted out to that. The minimum pricing of alcohol is a case in point. They've punished everyone for the small minority of people that cause the issues. You look at the arrest figures for Scotland in football, it's very, very small, but you seem to think that it's a massive issue compared with the amount of fans that attend, but it's not. That's the big thing. We're getting off on a tangent there, but we then move on to the next day, onto the Sunday, where there's a pro-Palestine, anti-Israel protest with around 5,000 people marching throughout the streets. Again, parking your views on the reasons for the protest, that's not for this pod. But this is another mass gathering. Not a peep from the usual suspects.
Nope.
Cue the next day, on the Monday, you had the inevitable statements from Sturgeon, Humza, Swinney, criticising Rangers and our fans. Humza claiming that we should have done more. All at the same time, not a peep about the mass gathering on the Sunday, or the mass gathering on the immigration, or everything that's went through the whole year. The hypocrisy is simply astounding, and I am not criticising any Rangers fan who turned up on Saturday on that point alone, because you cannot have a two-tiered system, because that's what it is. Funnily enough, Rangers fans stand for being British. Funny that the SNP hate everything that's British, so I don't know if there's an ulterior agenda going on there. And as I said, the government opened the door for this to happen on Saturday due to their inaction, be it deliberate or not. But Dave, we're still not going to be finished with the government. I'll get into that in a minute. Police Scotland have now set up an inquiry team to investigate the disorder fully, so kind of like what happened after the Scottish Cup final against Hibs. And later on that day, I did actually have this put as the most laughable part of this whole saga, but something came out last night which is even more laughable. As you've alluded to, player videos started coming from the celebrations in the lounge at Ibrox. One of them was from the players singing and dancing to Sweet Caroline. I believe the original video was already out there in the ether when a TikTok came from Willy Wanker.
Yes. Reliable source, Derek.
Yes. Exactly. He was apparently only followed by bots. He wasn't following anybody, and he's since deleted his account apparently as well. And he put out the exact same video, but apparently I've not heard this particular video, but it was apparently dubbed with the bit that goes duh 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 with FTP, and you know everybody knows what officer that stands for. Now I've heard the original, and it's clearly duh duh duh. I've also heard two other ones that Rangers fans have made to show how easy it is to dub. One was, it was perfectly in sync with the players jumping about and dancing, "We are not sectarian, we are not sectarian, we are UVF." And it looked perfect. And another is from a video of the Leicester players singing the exact same song the same day after winning the FA Cup. Yep. And it looked exactly in sync as well.
Yep.
Now, to me, the original is clearly duh, duh, duh. And if you want to claim that that's FTP, then, as I said on Twitter, I'll liken that to the Still Game episode when they were in the train station, when the train honks its horn when the tannoy announces the time, and it could be 1:30, 2:30, 3:30. You can make anything sound like you want it to if that's what you're originally thinking, can't you?
Incredible, Derek. Farcical. Again, I will give you an example. I had the James Maddison Leicester one on my Twitter. I actually had that, and I was speaking to someone the next day who is a Celtic fan who made the comment, and I actually played the James Maddison Twitter video to them, telling them that it was the one from Ibrox. And he told me that he could clearly hear them saying that when it wasn't even that video. And I showed them that it wasn't even that video. And they were still completely, regardless, that's what was getting sung. So that you can't win with Derek. It is completely farcical. I'll let you get into the next bit, which is even more farcical with the lengths that people have went to with this video. I'll let you get into that. But, as you say, Derek, clear to everybody's eye, trained and untrained, that was not what was being sung there, especially by a team who have players from all over the world, who have Catholics in the team as well. You're really going to sing that to guys like that who openly come out and bless themselves when they go in the park. A complete and utter farce.
Yep. Now, the police issued a statement saying that they were aware of the apparent video and they will liaise with the Procurator Fiscal after investigating. Now, if they've received complaints, then they're duty bound to investigate, so I've absolutely no issue with them looking into this at all. It'll be a quick case for them to solve, given there is clearly a fake video floating about. Given the fact that obviously the original video came from a player or staff member, it'll be a quick case to put out to pasture, because all you need to do is say to Rangers, who had that video? Players are the ones that are getting accused. Right, give me your phone. There you go. Bang, done. The one thing I would say, though, is I question the word apparent that they used in their statement, because surely it should be alleged then, Dave.
Yes, it was definitely, yep.
Yeah. However, after that statement from the police, the Justice Minister, in his wisdom, the Justice Minister, he got on Twitter and called for the players to be sacked immediately and caveated that by saying if, and I mean if. He's basically been judge, jury and executioner before an investigation has even started. Nothing short of scandalous, clearly prejudiced the case. It's not the first time he's done this as well, because he was doing it all during the Salmon case as well. He has no right whatsoever to tell a private company what to do with their employees. And given the fact that what's happened today, where he has been now installed as the Health Secretary, fuck me, all I can say about that one. But was this a no fucks given tweet because he knew this was going to be happening anyway, and there'll be no recourse if it's all when it's been found to be this has been a faked video? Absolute scandalous. At the same time, well-known utter weapon James Dornan piped up with a similar comment on Twitter, slamming the players for singing it, and he tried to qualify it by saying if, and that's if found to be false, then he'll take the post down. Sorry, James. No. Being found guilty until proven innocent is not how the law works, and I'm pretty sure that's not how a defamation case would see it either. I've always had an issue with MSPs especially, or MPs in general, having a Twitter, because it's basically unaudited. They can get away with saying whatever they want on Twitter without any recourse, which they wouldn't be able to say in Parliament. So, absolute scandal that government officials can say that.
Again, it comes down to professionalism. In my book, I've got no issue with people in authority having Twitter accounts there, but you be professional at all time. You don't abuse your power by putting statements like that out and not expecting there to be any kind of backlash. You be as professional as possible all the time. These guys are far from that. What he done was an absolute scandal. He had no right making any kind of comment before the investigation had taken place, none. And again, has been abusing his power, the position that he's in. Clear for everybody to see bias against their club, to come out and put something out there in the public. The man is an absolute disgrace. He should not be anywhere near any type of seat of power in this country. Wait and see. There's no way that we'll get an apology here when this comes out, that this has all been fake and, we've got nothing to answer for. The man will say nothing. A complete disgrace, and the people that actually voted for the likes of him to get back in power really need to have a good look at themselves.
Absolutely. Rangers did hit back with a statement saying that there's a trial by social media, by stating it's evident that the video was shared with an adjoining narrative which attempts to discredit our players and reputation of Rangers Football Club. This highlights the dangers of trial by social media. It's deeply concerning that this video has been taken as genuine and has been shared widely, including by some political representatives who should be mindful of their influence and legal processes. Our squad is richly diverse, sectarianism is unacceptable and has no place in our club, which is underlined by our Anyone campaign. We are confident that no criminality took place. We have sought legal advice and will be looking forward to cooperating with Police Scotland. So, quite clear. I mean, some fans thought that was a weak statement, but see if you came out blood and thunder, you would just look as bad as them. You can't do that, especially when there's an actual due process. Had we went off the deep end and started naming and shaming people, then if it did get to a legal case, then they could just counter sue us for that one.
I do understand what you're saying, Derek. It is very frustrating that a man of his position be coming away. I mean, he's actually actively telling Rangers to sack players. I mean, that's disgraceful, Derek. It's absolutely disgraceful. And the man is so arrogant, and his bitterness and hatred towards us is pouring out of him. And again, using his political prowess to tweet things like that is it's unbelievable, and it's unforgivable as well. And I was extremely angry by the whole thing. I still am just now. It's put a total dampener. Just that one thing, but by him, because I understand, like what you said, Derek. There's some idiots out there who want to jump in the bandwagon and say that our players have done something. So there'll be complaints made, which is farcical. But for him to jump on the bandwagon like that, for him to come out and say something when he has absolutely no need to comment on anything like that, it's just absolutely deplorable. It really is.
Yep. Well, I mean, on the back of all this now, that scumbag Celtic fans have been copying in Slavia Prague Twitter accounts to claim this is what Kamara is like. And I believe that Kamara has had more abuse on the back of it from them. So, absolute disgrace. And Michael Beale has also shared a screenshot of a direct mail where he has had sectarian abuse hurled at him. So, yeah, absolutely abysmal. Cue then yesterday, the Parliament were discussing that old chestnut of strict liability. As we've discussed at length before, it's completely unworkable. I'd argue completely illegal. You cannot punish a club for the fans' actions miles away for an event that the club have already said to the fans not to do, and the club did not organise it. Bluster, as always, it's really to cover up their failings, as we'll get on to now, because we're not finished with the government. As documents were released yesterday showing that Rangers wrote to the government asking for 10,000 fans to be allowed into the Aberdeen game, then another 10,000 per day for the next 4 days after, so that fans and the players could celebrate together. And it's to prevent them to turn up at the stadium and in George Square. Ultimately, that was because that way it can be controlled in a safe manner. There'll be no alcohol consumed inside the ground. They've cited the fact that the UEFA finals will have the UEFA Champions League and Europa League will have fans. The FA Cup that very same day had 20,000 fans, and the Euros that have been held at Hampden in less than a month's time will have 12,000 fans each game. The government eventually replied. It rambled on about the tiers system, despite that only been 2 days away from fans would be allowed into the back with limited numbers anyway. When the story broke yesterday, very much like a Celtic PR, a very hurried statement was released and prepared and released by the government. And it goes like this. At the time when people have missed funerals, not seen loved ones in care homes and had to postpone weddings, it's not right that we make exception to the rules for football fans. There is a limit in group size because the evidence is clear. When large numbers of people gather in close proximity, there's increased risk of COVID-19 transmission. That is why spectators have not been permitted in stadia up until Monday, when restrictions were eased and are allowed no more than 500 people in level 2 areas. Rangers plans were submitted at short notice and requested permission for a crowd significantly higher than that number, which is refused because of the clear health risk it posed to the public. We also received advice that there was an increased likelihood that large numbers of supporters would gather outside the stadium if they knew there was some to be permitted inside. Despite our clear public messages and continued work with the club, calling on fans not to gather illegally in large numbers, the selfish and irresponsible behaviour seen on Saturday endangered the lives of others, supporters, the police on duty and the wider community. We have already discussed this with Rangers and are liaising with Police Scotland and the football authorities to consider what further action can be taken. So, multiple things in that there. Firstly, using the example of care homes, where they sent people infected and untested back to their deaths to infect more people, so you can fuck off with that one. Secondly, the evidence of large gatherings outdoor is clear. As I've said, Experts have said the risk to outdoor transmission is less than 1%, I believe, if I've got my figures right there. Thirdly, the short notice. It was known for 2 months that this was going to happen, and you replied 6 days after we wrote to them. And when we did reply, the game was 3 weeks away, so it wasn't short notice. You've closed down Glasgow in the space of 2 days, so don't give me this shit about 3 weeks away and it's too short notice. Fourthly, where did they get the advice that fans would still attend despite some being allowed in? Where did that come from? Would love to know that one. Is that just them making it up? Did they have intelligence about that from the police or what? That's a very interesting thing to note. And fifthly, and probably the most damning one, the government have the absolute cheek to say, in Parliament, by the way, that Rangers should have done more. We did give them an idea, yet it was shot down with no viable alternative. They chose to close their eyes, stick their fingers in their ears, and hoped the problem would go away, as per everything this circus of a government do when there's a challenge to them. They are absolute clowns, the lot of them, and they try and deflect everything away against their own fault. They were told this would happen. It's not excusing anything that happened, especially the violence. That's a disgrace, but they were told about there was going to be fans there. Things like the violence and the assaults on the police may not have happened had it been dealt with properly at governmental level. And this is where the police, rather than still criticising Rangers, they need to step in and say, no, it's a dereliction of duty from the government here, especially when this information has now been leaked.
Derek, I try to look at things, I'm not saying simply, but I try to find key points of certain actions and statements that have taken place. And it is clear to me that the club have tried every way possible to speak to the authorities, to speak to the police, to speak to the council, to speak to everyone to try and get something arranged, to try and make sure that there are, there's been precautions taken, because everybody knew it was going to happen. So the thing that's galling for me most of all is the fact that they are trying everything that they can. That this is, the government officials and spokespersons are trying everything they can to put some sort of blame on the club. And to me, it's just a farce, because we've came out time and time again and showed just quite rightly what you've said, with a huge time frame that we have been in contact with them to try and get something arranged, and they have not been willing to do so.
It's just unbelievable. This is going to roll on and roll on and roll on, and I hope Rangers are just waiting for the whole issue with the video just to settle down and be found out that there's absolute bullshit, and then go all guns blazing at this. But this is the thing. What recourse is there going to be now that Hamza's been shuffled off?
Exactly,
other thing, what recourse is there? Because they're going to claim that, he's not in that position anymore. But, absolutely scandalous. Rangers really need to go to town with this now and take it as far as it can go, because the fans are sick of it. And this is the annoying thing. See, the idiots that did cause the major issues, they're just putting Rangers on the back foot now, whereas they could be on the front foot and say, listen, the police have already said it was pretty much all great. So, but anyway, Dave, that's the last of the rants I want to go on now. We've covered it in great depth there. There's a lot there. I know you didn't really want to cover it, but I think given everything that's happened and the absolute scandal that our club is getting forced upon them just now, it was pertinent to cover them. However, let's talk about the league table, Dave, and the achievements we've done this year. Quick segue there. Played 30.
I know, Hamza, you bastard. Right, let's talk about the league title. let's have a look at the table now, right? Okay.
Because do you know something? Do you know something, Dave? That fucking makes him gallant even. That kills him even more. His beloved team are 25 points behind. But anyway, we've played 38, won 32, drawn 6, lost 0, scored 92, conceded only 13, goal difference of plus 79 and 102 points.
102 points, Derek.
Yes. 25 points ahead of Celtic, 30 better goal difference than them. Invincible in the league, undefeated in the league at Ibrox. Only 4 goals we've conceded there. A British record for the least goals conceded. 27 clean sheets, which is a Scottish record. 39 games on the trot undefeated in the league. I think Celtic have got 60 odd, so we've got more of next season to go before we beat that. 3 defeats all season, 2 domestic cups and 1 against Slavia Prague in the last 16. Yes, the last 16 of the Europa League.
Yep.
We topped our Europa League group after going through 3 qualifying rounds as well. It's simply astounding what this team has done. And the last piece of kind of thing I want to go here is the aggregate scores of the 4 games we've had against, or 3 or 4 games we've had against each team. Beat Aberdeen 11-1, Livingston 6-0, Celtic 8-2, St Johnstone 8-1, Hibs 6-3, St Mirren 8-0, Dundee United 10-2, Kilmarnock 4-0, Hamilton Accies 11-1, Ross County 11-0, and Motherwell 9-3. Absolutely astounding record this season.
Unbelievable, Derek. It's beyond our wildest dreams when we came into this season, wasn't it? Again, I went over this in the last pod. I went over this in my post-match reaction to the last game there. All we have been told, Derek, from the media, from ex-players of Celtic, from everybody, was that it didn't matter what Rangers did, Celtic were winning the league this season. This is what has broken so many people, Derek. This wasn't supposed to happen this season. We weren't supposed to be. I mean, even when we got to December, after we beat Celtic in January, I was still being told by Celtic fans, it's fine, Rangers will fall away as they always do in January. And that is when we dug deep and we pulled out some incredible results. We're going to do a pod in the next few weeks, sort of highlighting the sort of top games and, you know, the games that won us the league and stuff like that. But all came down to January and February. That was when we stepped it up. That was when they really fell away. But we have been getting told, Derek, by everybody that Celtic was winning the league this season. And to go back, could you imagine if we'd have went back to this time last year and show ourselves the league? It's quite phenomenal. The defensive record is incredible. I mean, let's just start with the defence. Alan McGregor, absolutely sensational. I mean, the way that Alan McGregor has performed since he's came back to Rangers, and especially this season, does this now put him up there with Andy Gorham, you know, as being the greatest goalkeeper of all time? A lot of people will shoot me down for this because, and I, for one as well, couldn't see past Andy Gorham, but I think that we now need to start talking about Alan McGregor in the same way that we talk about Andy Gorham. Sensational. Then into defence, you know, Tav, sensational. He got injured, which was a shame for him, but then it gave us the opportunity to bring Nathan Patterson in, who I think is just phenomenal, a great player. And then Tav comes straight back into the team and picks up where he left off. Shows you how well he's done this season. He's been tremendous. Look the other side, Barisic outstanding, and then in the centre of defence, Goldson's played every single minute for us this season. And then you've looked at that, you know, the record that you've just read out to us. He's played with several different people alongside him. Helander, in my opinion, is just a class act. I think when he's in there, we look really unbeatable at the back. And then there's just been goals for everywhere, Derek. I could go on and on and on about the team, but I just wanted to give a special mention to the defence just now because they've broken that record, Derek. It's phenomenal. It's going back. We used to sit and look at teams, Derek, when we had, like, in Walter Smith's day, when we had Gorham in goals, we had John Brown, Davy Robertson, we then had Richard Gough, Alan McLaren, Davy McPherson, guys like that. They would still always, in certain games, look as if they were going to give, they were going to concede an absolute clanger. It always happened, even although these guys were all rock solid. You really don't think that about the defence now, especially when it's Goldson and Helander that are in there. You think to yourself, with those two in front of McGregor, it's going to take something special to get past, you know, for us to concede, and that's the way it's been all season. The defence has just been awesome, and as I say, it's just been goals galore for everywhere else. It's been a joy, it's been a privilege to watch them. The only regret that I have for the team this season is that there's not been any fans in the stadium to watch us, because the football has just been sublime, hasn't it?
Absolutely. Ultimately, I mean, thinking back from my time supporting Rangers, you can probably say the Advoca years, once we got going, certainly the first wee bit was a wee bit ropey, but once we got going, that was the best football I've ever seen us play. But sorry, I think this season especially eclipses that now, both in terms of results, the style of play. I mean, as I said earlier on in the pod, it was so long ago, maybe about 2 hours now, that with some of the play has been Barcelona-esque. Some of the goals we've been scoring has been free-flowing up and down the park. It's been phenomenal. I don't want to get too much into the what, where's and whys and all that, because we're going to try and do a review couple of pods at the end of it. But we've been absolutely incredible this season. It's unfortunately, there's not going to be a lot how we can improve in that one in terms of the league performances, because the league's been phenomenal. The cup performances, yes, that's something that needs to sort out. We need to get the cups in the bag. We obviously always prefer the league if we have to choose between them, but we shouldn't need to choose from them. We should be cracking on, and I think Gerrard and his team know that. The players know that. Europe, again, has been absolutely exceptional. Disappointing in terms of the Slavia game, because I don't think they were the best team that we played in Europe this year. Certainly not, considering there are a bunch of scumbags as well who deserve to be nowhere near the competition. So we're already running probably about an hour and 2 hours 25 minutes, but now we will go into the news. So, Dave, there's been that many awards, I have no got a clue, because they seem to have changed the name of the awards ceremony. There's an extra one as well, so fuck knows what I'm going to tell you here. It might be right, it might no. But certainly the ones that are right is 8 Rangers players have been named in the PFA Premiership Team of the Year. McGregor, Tavernier, Goldson, Barisic, Kamara, Davis, Ken and Morelos. They're the 3 that were Ayer, Turnbull and Edwards, so I suppose you've got to give them something. But the fact that there was 8 players in the Team of the Year, you couldn't give it to anyone else, because we've been phenomenal. So
exactly, Derek. Regardless how biased and how much you hate our club, there's no way that anybody could watch us playing week in, week out, saying that we don't deserve, to have that amount of players in there. You went over the stats for the league, which is, sensational and well deserved to all of them. Great that they're being recognised, because we do know what it's like in Scottish football. There is a lot of people who do everything they can to keep us down, and it's just a credit to the team and a credit to the manager. It's great, and we can't argue with any of those selections either, Derek.
No, absolutely not. The SPFL Player of the Year was Alan McGregor. It was a short list of Davis, Goldson and Tavernier, as well as McGregor, obviously. Football Writers Player of the Year, the shortlist again was all Rangers players: Tavernier, Goldson, Davis and McGregor, and Davis picked that up. Players Player of the Year: McGregor, Tavernier, Kent and Davis. Tavernier won that. The Football Writers Manager of the Year was Steven Gerrard.
Yep.
Callum Davidson, David Martindale were in the shortlist, and Steve Clarke.
for Scotland winning a penalty shootout.
Basically, yeah.
That's it, for drawing a game and winning a penalty shootout. That's basically what he's there for. Derek, if St Johnstone go on and win the Scottish Cup on Saturday, you could say there's a huge case for Callum Davidson to win. You won in the 2 cups this season, a phenomenal job by them. But when it comes to the league, being invincible in the league this season and playing the way that we played, there's nobody could deny Steven Gerrard, we're winning that. It was just sensational. Gerrard
also won the SPFL Manager of the Year and the PFA Manager of the Year, so a hat-trick of Manager of the Year awards for Gerrard there. And again, well deserved. Yep. The Rangers Player of the Year awards, I know there was a bit of anger with the fact that they were getting televised and you had to pay for them, and then season ticket holders were getting them for nothing. I don't know what happened there, just maybe a bit of oversight from Rangers there. But anyway, nonetheless, Brianna Westrop won the Women's Player of the Year. Nathan Patterson won the Academy Player of the Year. Tavernier won the Sam English Goal Award. That was for 19 goals. Defoe got an award for having over 300 career goals. Davis got an award for Britain's most capped men's player. Yep. Morelos got a new club record award for most European goals. McGregor got most Rangers appearances in continental competition, which he beat Barry Ferguson. Roof got the goal of the season against Standard Liège. I don't think there could be anybody else there. Hadji won the Young Player of the Year. Tavernier won the Players Player of the Year. McGregor won the Fans Player of the Year, and he looked absolutely hammered in the pictures as well. Davis won the John Gregg Achievement Award, and Goldson won the Manager's Player of the Year. And he, as you said, he played every single match with over 5,000 minutes of pitch time. there seem to be a few more awards than normal, but I think, I don't care if they made up awards just for this season only, because every single player in the team certainly deserved it.
Definitely.
For the main SPFL players, the football writers and the players player, you could only give it to a Rangers player. It could have been any of them. You couldn't separate anything this season between any of them. It's just been a phenomenal season, and we'll be waxing lyrical about this season for years to come.
Derek, I can't honestly turn round and say to you that I could put a definitive answer on who Rangers' best player was this season. That's how well the team played over the past few seasons. We were I keep saying it, we were heavily relying on certain players to do things, whereas now, if one player didn't step up one week, there would be at least another 3 players that did step up in a game. That's been a huge difference. Apart from the defence that I went on and on about, our attacking players, we no longer rely on 1 or 2 players. We now have got 3 and 4 players who come in, and like I said, if one person isn't quite at the races, there has always been people stepping up to provide a bit of magic. If it's not been Aribo, it's been Kent. If it's not been Kent, it's been Hadji. If it's not been Hadji, it's been Steve Davis. If it's not been Davis, it's been Roof and and Morelos and stuff like that. That has just been phenomenal for me to watch, is just to see who is it that's going to click this week, because there would always be 2 or 3, 4 players every single week that would always be clicking for us and making things happen. And it's just, and I keep saying it's a joy to watch, but I think you could maybe say that yourself. Is there one player that you think was miles ahead, better than any other player in the team? I honestly don't think so.
No, I mean, they've all played their part, and as much as we highlighted, Rufus scored more goals in the league than Morelos. Morelos has still been exceptional this year. Yep. He's been doing a different role. He's not scored as many, but he's been exceptional. He has calmed down. I know there was times throughout the season, especially me, I was like, not just fucking, I've done with him now, get rid of him, because he did start to go back to his usual ways, but then he knuckled down again. Everybody, as you said, everybody has played their part, and you really cannot separate the players, I don't think.
Definitely not. And even if you look at the bit part players, guys like Cedric Kitten, Jermaine Defoe, Scott Wright, they've all come in. Even looking back, Derek, as I say, we'll do our season review. Brandon Barker came in and scored a goal for us on his birthday. Remember that? We were only, I'm sure, winning 1-0 and it was going right down the wire, and he came on, scored a very important goal for us. Jordan Jones as well came and scored a very important goal when we beat Motherwell as well. All of these guys, the whole squad, have all participated and all done their bit for us to win the league, and that's like incredible as well. There's not been one specific person that's, it's not been a sort of Chris Boyd, Ali McCoy's type thing where one person scored 30 odd goals. It's been spread out over a lot of players, and it's just an absolute joy to see. And that is, for me, what has made this team this season stand out for me. You were talking about Advocat earlier on in his era. Again, Advocat, we were just always sitting there, even although we were phenomenal going forward. We never looked airtight at the back, Derek, and it was the same with Walter Smith, whereas this team, especially, I keep going on about Helander and Goldson, I just feel when they're playing, we just look totally airtight at the back, and that's like a huge thing as well. So it's just a joy. It really is. We've been through so much. That's what I keep trying to say to certain people that are. There's a lot of Celtic fans out there are like, oh, what he's like, winning the title for the first time and all that. People have got short memories, Derek. They seem to conveniently forget what we've been through as a fan base over the last 10 years. There is no other fans in the world have been through what we've been through. So you're fucking right, we should be celebrating and we should be waxing lyrical about our team, especially the way we've done it, because we've no scraped the league. This isn't a helicopter Sunday where we've won it in the last day of the season. We have absolutely went to town in the whole of Scottish football, including our greatest rivals, and completely annihilated them. We should be going on about this season for years and years to come. That's how well we've done.
I can't disagree at all. We'll move on now, though, because we've got a bunch of other news to cover here. And, you know, where Celtic are still scrambling around to find who they're going to be managed by next year. We have already obviously made a few signings. We've got Nathan, we've got Wright in early, Simpson in early, and obviously we've already signed Nathan, Ofobor as well to come in the summer. We have also now signed Zambian international Fashion Sakala on a 4-year deal. Striker from Belgian side Ostend, I think that's how you say it. But certainly from what I've heard, is a good player. We just need to wait and see how he gels in.
And banging the goals in recently as well, may I add, for them, because they are a sort of mid-range table, but he's certainly been well in amongst the goals this season. So another excellent signing for us. I can't say much about him, but ever since we have been linked with him, I've been checking out their scores to see if he's been on the score sheet, and certainly, but everything I've heard, very, very fast, very direct, and another great addition to our squad. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him play.
Yep. You would probably think that maybe it's backup for Morelos, maybe potentially going, but possibly. I don't know.
He scored 2 goals today when they drew 2-2 with Mechelen earlier on today. So he's still on the goal scoring form even today.
Excellent. Andy Firth, our third choice goalkeeper, has signed on for another 1-year deal and will be here till the end of next season. As expected, we're not signing Zungu on a permanent basis, as his parent club Amiens have confirmed he will return to them. So I don't think that's any surprise. Blotted his copybook with the COVID thing as well, and good luck with the rest of his career.
He's certainly, I mean, he looks a sort of standard player, Derek. There was nothing there, I think, that really wowed us when we watched him play. Not that he played a lot of games, but as you say, I think the whole incident off the field is, maybe spoiled it for him. But again, thank him for his contribution to this season, and that's not to be forgotten.
No, absolutely not. Season ticket renewals were out since we last done the podcast. Prices frozen, and an incredible 44,000 fans have renewed. Just unbelievable, especially considering we don't know if they'll get back into the stadium next year. I can imagine not in full, certainly, but we'll just need to wait and see what transpires. Fans, rightly or wrongly, complaining that they're paying a fortune and they still don't know if they'll get in the stadium. Well, they were blaming the club for it. Well, that's not really our fault. That's the government. That's not Rangers' fault. Folk asking for free shit again. This is the price you pay for success. I know that Motherwell had done a fantastic gesture and said if you bought a season ticket this year, we're giving you the season ticket for nothing for next year. That's an incredible gesture, absolutely unheard of. But I done the maths on that one. They had about 4,000 season ticket holders this year. Their average season ticket cost is about £330, so it only worked out at about £1.3 million. Rangers could knock, say, £50 off everybody's season ticket. It's a wee gesture, every little helps. It would cost the club £2.5 million though. Mm-hmm. So it swings and roundabouts. That £2.5 million could be the wages for the next Morelos that comes in. If you want this kind of success, you need to pay for it. And I can understand fans' frustrations, but at the same time, you've got to balance that out. The one thing I do disagree with is for the season tickets for Bar 72, they're doubling because obviously they are upgrading it to, I can't remember, Club 72 I think it's called or something. Moving their season ticket is going to be difficult already because obviously there's that many season ticket holders. I think it would have made more sense to say, right, if you're upgrading this, freeze the season ticket prices in Bar 72 for next year, allow us to have it at that prices for this year, and then next year it would go up, and then we'll see if we can like it or not, and then the increases come in. I don't know if people have potentially still renewed, I don't know, but we'll see what happens there.
Yeah.
We have announced a pre-season friendly at Ibrox with Arsenal as part of our 150th anniversary. That'll be a fantastic event, or it would have been until Arsenal spoiled it by being unveiled as one of the English clubs involved in the fated Super League. But anyway, that game is going to be on Saturday, the 17th of July.
Excellent.
Just on that Super League, what an absolute clusterfuck, Dave, wasn't it?
It certainly was, Derek. I mean, we can get into it all. I mean, we all have our opinions on UEFA, Derek. I think that they maybe had a bit of a cheek with certain things, the way that they were going on about it. But the actual, the plan for these clubs to move away, just to basically put them in a league of their own, to get all the spoils and all the money in the world just for them. Quite incredible. Delighted that the fans have stepped in and basically, put a kibosh on it. I still don't think that it's over, Derek. The Real Madrid and Barcelona's of the world are still determined that it's going to go ahead, so I don't think it's going to go away. But I was pleased that so many fans came out in protest with regards to it as well. They were basically, in my view, trying to make... I'm a fan of American football, Derek. They were basically trying to have their own sort of version of the NFL and our football, but just having a certain amount of top clubs who would get all the money and all the TV rights and just be basically the best players and nothing else. There would have been a chance for any other team out there. So, complete farce. Football's too big. There's too many clubs out there for that to work. Too many fans. The fans have spoken. But we'll just have to wait and see what comes of it. Yeah, because I think there's going to be a bit of a fight in their hands. But it's looking promising just now that it's not going to go ahead. UEFA, though, Derek, we know what they're like. They are wanting all the spoils. They're wanting it all as well. So I do think that they've got a bit of a cheek the way that they've came in and spoke about it as well. But for the actual, for the normal fans of the normal teams out there, it was just an absolute disgrace.
Yeah, the point is not lost that all the clubs involved are in massive debt just now, and that's because they've spent massive and basically had the monopoly of football and TV rights as well. And the fans have got a cheek as well, I think, at the same time, though, because they're no complaining when they're spending. Man City spent over £1 billion on their players since Sheikh Mansour came in, and that's the reason why they're successful, because I think they had won one league trophy, one main league in their history before Mansour came in. So, idiots. The bigger irony with UEFA, though, is the president insisted that the Euro competitions need the likes of Rangers and Celtic. Well, why, if that's the case, then do they make it near impossible for us to qualify?
Exactly.
I mean, I think for me, the Euro competitions need to get away from this bullshit of the fourth place team in England getting it. It should be make the champions of 32 leagues automatic qualification. Then you'll get the David and Goliath thing. Yeah, you'll get a big, massive gulf in class, but fuck seasons. You just make it a league format with the 32 teams that way. Bring the UEFA Cup back for the second place team, and then get the champions, the Cup Winners' Cup back, not this other stupid competition that they've got. Get the Cup Winners' Cup back for the Cup winners of the leagues. That's the way it should be done. But who am I, Dave? Who am I?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. However, in a rare piece of good work from the SPFL, they've struck a deal with Sky to again allow clubs to broadcast the games to season ticket holders through their club channels, as well as sell games that are not on Sky on a pay-per-view basis to other fans. So that's obviously preempting that capacity crowds not being available back into stadiums just now, which is probably going to be highly likely. But it's actually, you've got to give credit to the SPFL when they actually do something well.
Well, yep. Doesn't happen often, Derek, does it?
No. Next one is we've submitted an application for 93 car parking spaces to the rear of the new Edmundston house. This is to replace some of the spaces that will be lost due to the Albion car park getting partly sold off. So we'll see what happens there. Next thing is the COVID-5 appeal was thrown out, with Rangers stating that they are disappointed but cognizant that the approach taken by the other FAs around Europe has no resemblance to that of the SFA, and urged the SFA to have an open mind and learn from the other FAs. I was actually astounded, Dave, to realise that the SFA are the only organisation in European football that are fining and banning players for COVID breaches.
The only?
The only, apparently. That's astounding.
I've just learned I've learned something new as well, Derek. That is quite incredible if you think about it.
Next thing here about banned players. If Kudela from Slavia Prague wasn't shameless enough, he's appealing his 10-game ban and insists that he's done nothing wrong and there is no proof. Absolutely scandalous. I mean, if that's not enough, the Slavia president is claiming that Rangers tried to get Slavia kicked out of Europe from the off. He then goes on to say that Cadella was wrong going up to Kamara and covering his mouth, and we have apologised for that. Conveniently, though, he never mentioned anything about his racist comments.
No.
He then went on to say Rangers still haven't apologised to their keeper after Roof's challenge. I mean, fuck off with that. It was an accident in a contact sport.
Yep.
And in any case, our doctors were at the scene attending at the time as well. We've got absolutely nothing to apologise for. And for them to equate that to the same as a racist comment, utter scum.
Derek, I've had conversations on social media from fans of that club as well. And what is annoying me is the whole racist thing is not taken seriously, as if it's not a serious matter. And they are basically going on that the tackle on the goalkeeper was deliberate, which we all know it wasn't, and they are seeing that as a more serious issue than what actually happened with Cadella and Kamara, which, you know, is for me a part of the problem as well, is that they obviously, you know, are not taking that seriously whatsoever, and they think that accidental challenge is more serious than what actually happened. It is quite incredible. It shows you the scum that they are. We're not going to get anything out of this at all, Derek. It looks as if we've been punished more than what they actually have, which is quite incredible. And it beggars belief. It really does. And could you imagine the uproar if that had been the other way around? God forbid it had been any of our players that had been alleged and done anything like that as well. We would have been publicly crucified for something like that. It's shocking, and it just shows you the way that UEFA is as well. We've been talking about them as well. They obviously have got absolutely no stance against racism in the game at all, even though they're coming out with other bullshit as well. It's ridiculous. We went over it at the time, and it's still shocking that there's nothing came out about it, and it's looking as if we're going to be the ones that are going to have to live with it, which is terrible. Absolutely terrible.
I mean, Cadella's legal team have called for Zungu to give evidence, as they're claiming that his statement contradicts what Kamara said. So we'll see what happens there. Rangers did appeal Roof's 4-game ban. However, that was dismissed by UEFA. So he's out for all of our qualifiers for the Champions League. I mean, 3 games would have been acceptable, as is the normal for a violent challenge like that. As I said, it was an accidental challenge, no more, no less. Roof also revealed that as soon as he turned on his social media after the boycott, after the first Celtic game, he was met with more racist abuse. And this is the thing: the narrative Slavia have set about his challenge on their keeper, they are culpable for the racist abuse he's receiving. That's the problem. Yep,
definitely.
Yep. Next thing here, Charlie Nicolars claims that because we went out the 2 cups, our early league win has disguised our faults.
We all know Charlie Nicholas, verbal diarrhea, speaks before he thinks, doesn't have a clue. The man just a clown when he's on. He tries to make himself out that he's, old champagne Charlie and all that. But if you actually listen to him, Derek, he's not got a Scooby-Doo what he's talking about.
No, I mean, I've rhymed off the stats this season so far. I mean, it's proof that not everyone is entitled to an opinion. But Rangers have partnered up with pain relief technology company BioWave, and so basically it's a sponsorship deal. They've got a big sign on top of the Copeland and Broomland stands. I mean, it doesn't look great, and I would prefer it wasn't there, but apparently it is bringing in a decent bit of money, so we can't really complain. They're also going to have sponsorship at the training centre, as well as the front of shirt sponsor for the women's team. So as I said before, we're going to be like a Formula 1 car, but if it's bringing in the money, don't care. Other sponsorship news: we've announced that renewal of the 32 Red deal. They will be our main shirt sponsors, and their partner Unibet will be the shirt sponsors for the Euro games, as well as our third top. And apparently by the end of it, it'll be one of the longest partnerships in football. So apparently, from what I've heard in other podcasts as well, that everybody at Rangers are very happy with 32 Red. So why break something that's mutually beneficial to everyone?
Yeah, definitely.
Yep. Very strange one this year, but Scotland have picked up more coefficient points than France this season, and it's been obviously mainly due to us. It had calls from the Marseille president to question the training methods used by the French teams, as it's a disgrace that Scotland have done better. Scotland are the 7th best country for coefficient points this season. I mean, in fairness, you get the same coefficient points in a Champions League win as the Europa League win, so it's kind of slightly weighted in our favour, isn't it? But I'll take it. Certainly will.
Definitely. And fuck Marseille. That's what I say.
Exactly. Aye. BDO, the liquidators of Oldco, are suing former administrators Paul Clark and David Whitehouse of Duff and Phelps for $56.8 million. That would certainly put a dent in their compensation they got anyway. Ultimately, BDO are criticising Duff and Phelps as they claiming that they should have had a fire sale of assets, including players, the stadium and training ground to cover the debts. And that is what the money that the amount they're suing them for is the value that would have been a rough cost. Duff and Phelps are fighting it as you would expect, as it would have. They're saying it would have shut the club down if they had sold it that way, and they were trying to sell it as an ongoing concern. So, in a weird way, obviously Duff and Phelps were actually right not to do a fire sale of the assets like the stadium. So, they've kind of got to be praised in that way, even if it was completely inadvertent. And however, all I can say is fuck them, because they were in the middle of something certainly murky at best. That's all I'm going to say. Of a similar nature, Craig White, it was the 10-year anniversary of him taking over Rangers, and in their wisdom and their genuine want to heal the rift between us and BBC Scotland, Chris McLaughlin done an interview with White, and I love the fact that they're locked out of Rangers, so they have to resort to this kind of thing. But anyway, Craig White claims it was a nightmare taking over us, and it's his biggest regret. He admits that he should have been upfront with the fans regarding the tickets issue, and that's how he could have afforded the money to buy the club. However, he maintains his belief that he did do nothing wrong. He then went on to claim, and I'm quoting here, "I was not responsible for the build-up of tax debt that caused HMRC to pursue Rangers." First of all, yes, you bloody were. Mm-hmm. There were 2 tax cases, the EBT case, which was everybody was fully aware of, and then there was the second wee tax case, which he caused by not paying any bills, including the bill to HMRC, exactly, which ultimately put us in administration. So fuck Craig White, simple as. But anyway, moving on. I thought I was going to stop ranting as well, Dave.
Oh dear, you might as well keep going, mate.
I might as well, yeah, but certainly next issue here, the Colts issue still rages on, and after the refusal of the League 1 and 2 teams and the SFA to deal with the Colts issue, we've put a proposal to both Old Firm teams have put a proposal to the Lowland League, which they have accepted in principle. The final vote will be at their up-and-coming AGM. It's a season-long trial at first with cash and ticket incentives offered. It has prompted the Lowland League president to resign. Don't know what that's all about. And it's the one thing that if I knew the Colts were playing in a stadium near me, I would go. So certainly there's a massive incentive to go there.
Derek, it's funny you should say that, because I actually sat with a friend of the pod and recent guest, Ewan, and we were talking about potential teams that the Colts team could play, the Rangers Colts team could play. And where I live in the Central Belt, there will be at least 6 teams that all are within about a 10-mile radius for where I live that the Rangers Colts team will be playing. So if that game is not on a Saturday or on a Sunday, and I am off, I will 100% go and watch them. Now, I would like to think that I am like the vast majority of Rangers fans would say the same. So I'll give you an example. There is Glasgow BSC at this moment are sharing a ground with Alloa Athletic, right? So let's say there are 5,000 Rangers supporters midweek who say, quite know, it's only going to cost me, £12, £15, so something like that, to go and watch the Rangers Colts team. Let's go, and let's say they get 5,000 folk turning up. That's more than what both clubs playing at that stadium will have as a capacity for their main games on a Saturday. That's more than what Alloa Athletic would get. And if that's the case, and that happens at the vast majority of clubs in the Lowland League, they're going to make an absolute fortune out of it, Derek. So it would be ridiculous for them not to accept that. And it's going to put them on the map. It's going to, as I say, they'll have a huge... And let's say these clubs were to keep their pricing for not normal matches, which would usually be about £10. If they were to do it at £10, they would still be making a fortune because more people would go to watch it. So I think it's an absolute no-brainer that it has happened. I think that the SFA have missed out on a trick by not allowing them to go into the second division in Scotland the way that it was proposed, because it could have brought huge amounts of money to them as well. But I know I'm looking forward to it, Derek. I think it's really good. There's still it's still a decent standard of football. There's still some big name teams in there, teams that have been playing in the Scottish leagues as well. So, but bring it on. I think it'll be excellent.
I mean, here's the thing, Dave. Most of the League One and League Two teams, and I'm going to include some of the Championship teams in this as well, they only get a few hundred a game into their stadium. So it's absolutely incredible. Stuart Robertson has slammed the SPFL and SFA as the ideas are all coming from Rangers and there's no innovation coming out from the authorities at all. The SFA president hit back stating that they would welcome ideas, but adding the Colts to the league structure would have needed a real change from the SPFL, and given the perception from other teams, it went no further. I mean, it's not the first time, but only in Scottish football can an idea be thrown out before it even goes to a vote, before apparent perceptions and an unofficial chat. Further to that, though, the East, West and South leagues are not happy at the Lowland League's plan, ultimately due to self-preservation.
Yes.
But the idea of insanity is doing the same thing time and time again and expecting a different result. Will some clubs be put out by this? Absolutely they will, but something in Scottish football needs to change, and ultimately, if it means a couple of clubs will need to temporarily suffer to benefit Scottish football as a whole, then that's what's going to need to happen. And I can understand where other teams come from, but at the end of the day, they've got to accept their place. Rangers and Celtic are the two teams that make the Scottish League. If Rangers and Celtic were not there, the Scottish League would be something like the Irish League. It would be non-existent. Nobody would give a shit about it, because not many people give a shit about it as it is. So they've got to be mindful of that, but that's another story. Coming into the last few things here, Stephen Gerrard, just an absolute touch of class here. He ran a 5K alongside two Hibs youngsters for charity. Murray and Jackson, aged 10 and 11, were doing 300 kilometres over a 30-day period for charity. Gerrard found out about this and he joined them to help along. Just absolutely incredible from Gerrard there.
Yeah, great stuff.
Rangers have apparently refused Romania's permission to include, I was going to say Georgie Hadji there, Yanis Hadji in the Olympic squad as it clashes with the Champions League qualifiers. I mean, I would say that's fair enough. We pay his wages. He's young enough to have another opportunity at this, and I just hope it doesn't turn out to be another Craig Moore issue.
Yeah, no, I know, Derek. I'm not trying to belittle the Olympics, but I think if you were to ask a professional footballer, would they rather go in and participate in the Olympics or get a chance to play in the Champions League? I'm sure the Champions League, would win each time. So I really don't see what the big issue is with that one, to be honest with you.
No, me neither. Last couple of things here. Nathan Patterson has been included in the expanded Euro 2020 squad, so absolutely fantastic, much deserved. As what David Edgar pointed out, they got 3 extra places, so they put Billy Gilmore, obvious talent, in, and they put Turnbull from Celtic in, which you can't really complain. If he could last a wee bit longer in the field, he would be a cracking player, but certainly fantastic. 3 young players that have got a future in the game. And hopefully it'll be a great experience for him, and he gets to play and show on a global scale what he can do.
I was having a discussion with a friend of mine who's not an Old Firm fan, who goes to all the Scotland matches, and he didn't really know much about Nathan Patterson. And I said to him that, to be quite honest with you, he, every time he's played for Rangers, he's been an absolute standout for us. Sensational, and I'm positive that I'm not being premature here, Derek, but certainly the best right back in Scotland, next to James Tavernier. There's no many people could step into Tav's shoes this season, the form that he's been on, and have such a phenomenal performances like what he has. And it's not just been in Scotland in the league, it's been in big European matches as well, Derek, as well as Old Firm games. He's been tremendous. If Steve Clarke doesn't play him and plays the likes of O'Donnell at right back, then Scotland get all they deserve and they'll get annihilated. At least if he's going to be, because I believe that the Scotland team play three central defenders with wing backs, and obviously on the left hand side they've got both Tierney and Robertson, but they've not had anybody at right back that can match them. And I firmly believe, Derek, that this guy is going to, if not be as good, even better than the likes of Tierney, because I think he's a phenomenal player. He's a goal threat as well. And like I say, this could be a great opportunity for him at the biggest stage, and I really, really hope he does play and he puts on a show, because I think he's a tremendous player.
Yeah. And the last piece of football news here I've got here, still speaking of Euro 2020, is the official Euro 2020 song has been released. It's by Martin Garrix, featuring Bono and The Edge from U2. Genuinely, I think it's a great song. But to cap it off, it's called We Are The People.
I got sent this by somebody at my work, and I thought it was a mistake, Derek. He says the official song, Bono singing We Are The People, and I thought this has got to be a mistake, and then I realised it wasn't. That's just tremendous. I mean, if that is not a tribute to Glasgow Rangers this season, then I honestly don't know what is, Derek.
They don't know how high this goes.
Brilliant.
So, Dave, it's been an epic pod, and it would be remiss of me not to do this part.
Okay.
Austrian man fined for proactively farting at the police has his fine reduced. An Austrian man who was fined €500 for loudly farting near police officers had his fine reduced to €100 after launching an appeal. The unidentified man was whacked with a fine in Vienna after offending public decency and farting provocatively at police in June last year.
How do you fart provocatively?
I can't do one now to try and give an example, but he then challenged his fine in what must have been a very strange day in the court for all concerned. The man told the courts that breaking wind was merely a biological process. Maybe it was, talking about biological processes. It might have been Michael Stewart.
Possibly. No, that's is that no biomechanical?
It's biomechanical. I don't know.
Maybe.
The man said even if he had done it deliberately, his fart was covered by freedom of expression. In Austria, freedom of expression is not limited to just speech, but also covers noises and communication in other forms.
I still don't know how you can fart provocatively, Derek. That's a new one on me.
Oh, that's beautiful. That is a great story. What a way to end an absolute epic podcast.
Exactly. It's been long. I'm so glad that we managed to speak about the incredible achievements of the club this season. Everything that's happened, we've covered in great detail the good and the bad of what's happened over the past few weeks. So, everybody out there, I know it's been a long podcast, but I hope you've stuck with us to the end, just even to hear that last story.
As I said, Dave and I are going to take a wee bit of time off now. Know that the last kind of 7 weeks that Dave decided to go off on a jolly was long enough.
Yeah, I'd get the blame for that one.
But we're going to have a few weeks off. We're going to enjoy our title win. We are going to be trying back. We're going to try and do a season review. Yes. It might turn into a few pods because we're going to try and do it month by month and just take it game by game.
Yeah.
And we'll see where it goes. We've got, I think, is it something like 10 weeks before the Champions League qualifier? Am I right in saying that? But we also have a summer of the Euro 2020 games as well. So
with a number of our players taking part, Derek, which will be great for us to sit and watch. Even the games that we wouldn't be bothered before. There's a lot of players for our teams will be taking part in these games, so it'll be good to see them play and hopefully put on really good performances.
Yep. Absolutely. So, as ever, if you want to check the rest of our stuff out, I don't know why, after our 3-hour podcast, but you can go to our website, which is ireadypodcast.wordpress.com, and I'll still need to update everything as well. So I'll get round to that at some point during the summer. So it's been a fantastic season. I can't wait for the next season to start already.
Everybody, enjoy this. Watch as much footage as you can. Hopefully, we'll all be back in the stadium soon to cheer the team on in person. But it's been great. Keep looking for the updates. We will be back. We've got a few guests that want to come on as well and talk about the season. So we will be back soon. So until then, take care and bye-bye.
Bye.
And the stadium erupts in red, white and blue. You've never seen anything like it.
Let's go.